Don't do this. Okay, all right, we're good.
Oh, yeah.
Woo, woo. Almost crashed there. I'm glad you're doing well. So tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us a bit about what you do and how you got into streaming.
Okay, yeah. Well, first off, I always do my pitch. People that come to my channel always like, oh, you're doing the pitch. Well, I am the most determined soul, CJ Berry, the leader of waves and waves of people in determination. CJ is who I am. MDSoul is what I am. So you guys can just call me CJ. It's kind of like one of those things I do, man. MDSoul is just the branding, man. But I stream over here, obviously, on Twitch. I was originally on Mixer. Got partnered, then they said, whoa, pulled the rug out from under our legs. Everybody remembers that. It sucked, but it is what it is. But I'm here now, over here on Twitch. We're doing great things. I have a coffee hour. I do like this morning talk show where I get to know the community. We talk about video games, and then afterwards, in the afternoon, we get into fighting games. I love Tekken. I love Mortal Kombat. Games like that, I thoroughly enjoy. We do tournaments. As a matter of fact, this is a milestone that I have, and I like to brag about it just a little bit.
Okay.
Over there on Mixer, me and OGTW Strange through a Tekken tournament, we had 3.8K over there. We did better than Ninja that day. I was like, yes, milestone. Yeah, we were crushing it that day.
That is huge news.
Oh yeah, that was freaking huge. But then we have to start all over here. It's all good. Life is good. And then also what I do, additionally, I'm in the military. I'm in the reserves. I'm a major in the Army Reserves right now, and yeah, I don't talk about that too often because a lot of people go, "Oh, you're a major." I'm like, I'm still CJ at the end of the day, you know. So here I am. So that's me in a nutshell. Oh, and I'm a father of 3 sons, married to my beautiful wife Candace. She is amazing. She's the reason why I'm able to do this.
Well, and it's always helpful to have an inspiring figure. You know, I've always talked about like that quote where, paraphrasing it, you know, behind every great man is an even greater woman. You know, like
oh yeah,
that backing force. And of course that changes, but you know, it's just a quote that I think reigns true, that having a significant other and having someone to back you and support you and empower you to continue to motivate you, to drive you to accomplish your goals, your dreams, and help other people accomplish them as well. I think it makes a massive impact. But
absolutely,
family's important. So I know something that you brought up. You said you were a major. Did you start off as an enlisted individual and then move up to officer, or did you get into school and then, you know?
Yes, I did ROTC.
Okay.
My father is a retired sergeant major. My grandfather, retired sergeant major. And they say, hey, you got a smart mouth. You don't like taking direction. You're not going to do well as enlisted. You're going to get put out. Go to school and become an officer. Go take charge and be great. So that's what I did. I took their advice and I just took off from there, man.
Nice. So you said you've been in for 14 years, right?
Yes, I have.
Are you planning on going for like a 20 and then retiring, or like what are your future plans?
I think it really depends on what's put in front of me. You know, next promotion is lieutenant colonel in about 3 to 4 years, and if I get there, I'm going to be happy. I can retire there. But if they say, hey, full bird, I'm like, oh, really? You like me that much? And then after that, as a general, I'm gonna be really surprised because like that's not really my intent. And then you're tiptoeing into like 26, 30 out military. So I'm not sure if that's what I want, because my vision and my why isn't the Army. The Army just allows me to get 0% down on my house. You know what I'm saying? And you got great healthcare and insurance. But besides that, that's not my why. So I think I'm gonna do 20 years. 20 isn't that far away. I'll be 41, 42 years old by that time, and I'll be happy. So 20, be done, call it a day.
So I keep on noticing some of these phrases that you're using, but like, you know, the vision or, you know, the why behind what you're doing. And I know that we've talked a lot here within the Vault about, you know, what a person does and why a creator does what they does, you know, why they do what they do. And, you know, what's the power behind a community. And so often, you know, we've talked about reputation as well, that an individual is only known if they're known for what they're doing. And so
Hmm.
that empowerment of having someone come to a stream or coming to a community because they've heard of what you're doing, they've heard of what a community is doing to make an impact or make a difference in a person's life, so much so that a person was willing to tell a person about it. Like, hey, word of mouth, you guys need to go and check this
Hmm.
person out. It's amazing. Like, it's an experience. And so when you're
Right.
talking about the why, how do you feel like that's impacted, what you're doing in the world of content creation and streaming?
Um, understanding my why, understanding my vision helps me not get upset if I don't get results that I'm supposed to have. So let's take example. Let's take this example right here. Streaming is not my why either. That's not my endpoint. I don't want to be, the next ninja, the next shroud. None of that. That doesn't matter to me. Having money and getting all this money, that doesn't matter to me. This is something that I'm passionate about, but I'm not obsessed with it, And I think there's a huge difference when we're talking about passionate and obsession and what your goals are. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, my why isn't to be a streamer. My why is to make connections and gain credibility through streaming.
Mm-hmm.
But then my why is saying, hey, I want to open up a barcade. How do I open up a barcade and build community from my online presence, and then also build community in person, and then bringing it all together? You see a lot of barcades out here I'm living in the St. Louis area, in St. Louis, all over the United States, and you get there and they focus on the alcohol portion of it, and it just so happens they have games. Or you go to one of those video game bars or whatever that you see in the mall. It's a bunch of video games and nobody's really there. They're just like, I like video games, and while my mom shops, I'm gonna go and play these games. Well, I'm like, no, there's more to gaming than that, and we ultimately miss that atmosphere of being in the arcade, hanging with your friends. I mean, everybody remembers the first time they seen the finishing move in Mortal Kombat. You're like, oh my god, I want those same experiences in a barcade with adults. Not children could come in a sense, during the daytime when we're not serving alcohol. But I want to build community in person, and an adult community at that age range, roughly between 28 and about 40, be able to play some games with each other, have great conversation, and kind of move forward. So streaming helps me do that before I get to my end state, which is that barcade.
So, I mean, like with that being kind of like your end goal, it's an interesting notion because I think arcades have really seen a massive decline over the years.
Yeah.
Everything content wise has come to the point where an individual can get the hardware that they need right out of their home, and it wasn't
Hmm.
so expensive. You going out and buying a game. I mean, back in the '80s, some of those games, and even the '90s, some of those games were $100, $80.
Right. Yeah.
And so for you to go
Absolutely.
out, it was easier to go out and drop, dimes or quarters on play
Hmm.
and just almost like rent a game. And that was before
Yes.
Blockbuster started taking, hold, and, all those other companies. But, getting into an arcade, it was an easier leg into the adventure of gaming. And like you said,
Right.
building a community around video games. So how do you feel like the industry plans to hold up in the world of arcades in that mindset?
The problem, in my opinion, this is anything that's fact or anything like that, but in my opinion, the gaming industry is starting to revert again. And I'm not saying it's gonna crash per se. It's just they found a better formula than what they had compared to the video game crash of the '80s. Remember, with ET being the nail in the coffin with Atari and Activision and stuff like that, and then Nintendo came out of the ashes. It was a phoenix coming out of the ashes and revitalizing the gaming industry, right? The same thing is happening now, in my opinion. They're like, hey, we figure it out. We figure out the formula. We're going to do these cash grabs. Hey, we have DLC. We have this. We have that. But what I think needs to happen is there has to be some fine tuning and a balance with these cash grabs. And in order for you to do that, you have to invest in the people, and they're continuing to invest in the game. So let's take it, because again, I'm a fighting game guy. let's take example Tekken 7. I love Tekken 7. It's a very, very fun game. Instead of focusing on the DLC, I think they need to focus on the tournaments and the people that are the best in that tournament, and then turning esports into a basketball or an NFL thing instead of a video game. The video game should be secondhand. You know, the why should be the community. The second hand is the game. The game's gonna naturally sell. That's the what. You know what I'm saying? The video game in the DLC is the what, but the why is the person that's playing. And hey, you can make tons of money off the person that's playing. Hey, we're selling, you know, Echo Fox jerseys. We're selling Team Liquid jersey. We're doing all this, but if you focus on that, you're gonna sell that many more jerseys. No different than Michael Jordan. The Jordan shoe is the original Jordan shoe, the Jordan 1. That's really a SB Dunk smashed in with the Air Force 1 and a couple other shoes, and boom, you have the Jordan 1. But the focus was on Michael Jordan himself, not the game of basketball, not the game, not the shoe. It's here's the why. We're gonna focus on him. He's the face, and then everything else is gonna fall in. If the gaming industry starts doing more of that, they're gonna succeed. But if they continue to go, hey, here goes another Call of Duty, here goes some DLC, and we're gonna release a new Call of Duty every single year, they're eventually gonna fail, you know?
Well, and I think we're already starting to see a little bit of that. I think the general consensus around the success of Call of Duty is pretty negative. I mean, like, I think the viewpoint of the industry is that Call of Duty is just another game that's putting a new title or slapping a new title onto a new box, dishing something out, and developing new titles from 3 different companies every single year, so that way, like you said, they can make a cash grab. But we continue to see these resets in time, where, you know, I've talked about it a lot on my channel, that in 2008, 2009, you saw this massive changeover in time. In the 90s, you saw this massive changeover in time within the gaming industry. I mean, you saw indie titles coming out of the woodwork that were just mind-bogglingly outstanding. And in periods of time where, like, you know, the Sega Genesis, the SNES, you know, they were looking for new hardware. They were looking for new ways of engaging stories. And then in 2008, same thing, like, these indie devs take off. And so you have this kind of like renovation of the gaming industry, renovation of how to give a storytelling experience and immerse the gamer in a new world, make them feel like they're a part of the experience. And I think VR, AR could be that next kind of leg. Like, how do we go back to the person, the person themselves enjoying the experience, and not necessarily the game, but attaching it to the individual? It's possible. I mean, I think that there's a lot of ways of looking at it, but I think that we're at that breaking point, like you said, that we're realizing, and gamers are realizing, that, like, I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna stare at my game console screen on the home screen because I don't know what to play. Like, I'm sick of seeing the same drivel over and over and over again, and I want something that makes me feel like I am a part of this world. I am a part of games. I'm a part of an experience. I'm something more. And I think that you're starting to see that a little bit in streaming too.
You are. So I'll say 2 things. Well, so first thing, well, there's VR and the fighting game renaissance, and so there's those 2 things. So the first thing with VR, and excuse me, this is a little crude, a little bit, but I don't think VR is going to pick up until you're able to touch and feel in the
so
haptic
haptic feedback.
Yes.
Okay. There's a machine that does that, by the way.
Yes, there is. I saw that. I talk to my community about that all the time. I'm like, they're getting there, but it's not there yet.
It's developed, but it's not consumer quality. I mean, it's like, I can't remember, the army and like SWAT and police and a whole bunch of people are using it so that way they can give real training. But
right, and you can feel.
People aren't buying it yet.
Right, exactly. We you know, it is what it is. But pornography is high selling online. That's why OnlyFans is doing so well. That's why all these other sites are doing well. It is what it is. Human beings were naturally perverted, right? But so there's that. But I don't disagree with you that virtual reality, that VR, that is the future. They just haven't figured out how to bring it all together and bring communities together. They did it for a second, but people were trolling with "Show me the way." I'm pretty sure you remember that with the Sonic, the weird Sonic.
Yep.
Show me the way. That was funny. But secondly, it's it's just how big industry is. The fighting game renaissance re-established itself roughly in 2008, 2009.
Mm-hmm.
They saw Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and they saw Street Fighter 3. Everybody, not everybody, but Justin Wong and Diego, and it's this epic scene where Diego and Justin Wong are going at it, and there's this super move. He parries all of Justin Wong's stuff from Chun-Li, and he finishes the move, and everybody goes nuts. Street Fighter 3, everybody's playing it. Same rules apply with Marvel vs. Capcom 2. There was just a community of people that were just constantly playing this game, whether the game was dead or not. So
Right.
What Capcom does, they say Street Fighter 4. That was the fighting game renaissance. And they kept on building on top of that. But the problem came when they had Street Fighter cross Tekken, and that's when they got greedy. They had DLC that was already on disc. It's like, whoa. The game already has the characters, and you're telling me that I have to pay to unlock the characters? They got greedy, and nobody liked that. And that's where the problem came. Or for that matter, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, they rushed the game. Chun-Li looked horrible. The game mechanics weren't good, and we're like, no, we'll push that aside. So what do? We go back and play Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate, and we're playing all these other games that aren't the games that they intended on playing. Same thing with Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 isn't a great game, but it's the newest game, so everybody plays it. So I think if us as communities, that's what we're talking about here, coming back together as community, if we just focus on the game that we love, that will force the hand of the developers that are creating for these games. So if we're playing Call of Duty, I think we kind of did that for Call of Duty. What was it? Advanced Warfare? That was horrible.
That was
Nobody
garbage.
liked that. Yeah. So what did we do? We said nope. Nope. It goes right over there in the corner, and it forced their hand. But we can't go in there and just keep on playing the game. We have the power, not them. We have the power, and kind of going to the streaming piece as a community, we have to support each other. I think there's a lot of support within the fighting game community. It's just very niche. I literally never played Apex on Twitch. I probably played Apex or Call of Duty once or twice on Mixer. That's it.
Yep.
But we have a very close niche community, and I'm happy with the guys that I have. It goes back to the why. If my why is to get famous, I'm gonna get bored, and I'm gonna be like, you know what? I just want to play this, and they can tell. The people can tell when you're like, I'm not really feeling this game. And that's why I've been told many a times, hey, CJ, you need to play Apex. That's the game to play. Oh, you need to play Dead by Daylight. I was like, first off, I suck at them. Second off, you're going to tell that I suck at them, and I'm not enjoying myself, and it's going to push people away. So why do I want to do that? So I think that's really important to bring it all together. Just stick to the niche, whether it's 5 people, whether it's 100 people, stick to what you got and build off of that and spiral out,
Well, so one of the things that, we've discussed before, and some of the, even in our interviews, that, it's not always the game that makes the game, it's the community that makes the game, like you're talking about, right? And so if you can have fun with your friends, regardless of you doing great or doing, poorly. I mean, when you think about, let's just bring up an example. You think about Peril Sparks, like 90% of his going live posts are always talking about how he's going to play like a bot, bot plays. Meanwhile, I've seen him get into Platinum and Diamond in Apex. He is an individual who's spending the majority of his time playing games. Just from experience alone, he's probably going to outweigh some of the other people out there because he's got the time invested, And it's not, I don't think it's so much, at least for me, I don't think it's so much that I don't like a game and that makes it terrible. I think as long as I've got people that I can enjoy it with, I can have fun. It's kind of like, you go to a party. If you go there and you go there alone, you're probably not going to have a good time. You don't know anyone. Who do I talk to? You're just going to be the awkward guy standing in the corner drinking a beer doing nothing. But, you've got 3 people to back you up, and it doesn't matter. Hey, at least I've got something going on, and maybe I'll meet some new people. Maybe I won't, but I've got my squad there with me. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I think in a way it goes back to kind of what you're saying, that the community makes the game, the community of fighting games makes the industry, and that the people make the industry of gaming. And so
Right.
I think we've seen a lot of that level of transparency lately on Twitch being something that's been successful, and we've started to kind of get into this interesting trend where, you know, these posts on Twitter are, I'm having a really shit day and like I just don't want to stream, I don't want to do this, like I don't want to be involved. And then the community pushes people to get back into the game, back into the seat, and say, we're here for you, we're here to back you up, we're family, and we're going to hold you up in this down moment. And I think that level of transparency, or that human nature, where people are, where they exist in that moment, I think that that's
Right.
starting to revolutionize how we're thinking. And I think that stands to push us in the future, that like, hey, us as an industry, we are humans. You know, at the end of the day, we aren't hero characters. We aren't Link or you know, Mario or you know, Chun-Li or, you know, whatever. We're not any of that. We're just a person behind a controller or a mouse and a keyboard or a fight stick or, you know, whatever. We're just people.
Right. Right.
And so I think that that's going to change that.
Yes, this streaming is, I'll call it how I see it. You know, as much as we don't want to call it entertainment, it is entertainment. But it's a different form of entertainment, and it's still in its infancy, and we're still trying to figure it out. You know, it's I think the problem that we constantly run into is some people think they're celebrities before they're celebrities, you know, and that tends to push people away sometimes. But I do not disagree with you. Sometimes you're like, I don't feel like streaming today, or I don't feel like this, I don't feel like that. Or for that matter, I think this is a great example, and we might be able to touch on it a little bit later.
Yeah.
I had racially targeted raids several times. George Floyd deserved it. I got that. Like 50 people come to my channel. George Floyd deserved it. Another one, 100 people go back to the plantation you came from. You know, I've gotten that several, like probably about 3 or 4 times since I've been on Twitch. You know, and I know I was like, I got on Twitter. I was like, man, I think I'm a decent person. I can't believe that, you know, I don't care that someone dislikes me, but the thing that bothers me, that somebody went out of their way to show that type of hate. It's like, really? For real? I'm not messing with you. I'm not doing anything. But you know what my community did? They said, hey man, you're a great person. I love you. We're not gonna treat you that way. Keep on doing you, keep on being great. I can't believe that happened. And all of a sudden, you know, quite a few people's like, yo, Twitch support. What are we doing about that? We are doing things about the S word. You know the 3 words that you say they're not allowed to say anymore, and they're banned. But they're not banning the N word. You're just like, don't do it. No, ban it. Ban that type of hate, you know? Yep. I'm not necessarily saying IP ban, you know, you can't control everybody and all that good stuff, but there has to be other things in place to protect the streamer, you know? Same thing with I don't care what your sexual orientation is. If you're into furries, I don't care, but I shouldn't be berated with hate speech of, oh, you're gay. And just 50 people come into my channel, and yeah, I appreciate the views, but it's like, dang, you literally went out of your way for that just to say, you know, you're this, that, and the other, you know?
Well,
so
and
it's like, come on, man. But yes, you're right. The community itself is the thing that still pushed me forward to say, hey, it's all right. You're a good dude. I like you still.
I think that it goes back to that piece that we're starting to see a little bit of this revolution. And I think what's really interesting and what's been really beautiful to see is that we're seeing streaming kind of have a play or a key into being that building block or that foundation of creating better environments and creating better communities with strong sources and ties to love and acceptance and inclusion and diversity. And so kind of like you were talking about, you know, the counterpoint to hate. And so I think the real turning point is that how do we as creators and communities approach a situation where an individual is hateful? And so what we've talked about is that a lot of people are brought up in a state of ignorance, right? They're brought up in a state of being taught that this is the normal, like that hate is acceptable, which it's, of course it's not, but like they've been trained into this. You know, someone taught them
Right.
that this is the way to think.
Right.
So is it their fault? Where's our opportunity to educate, and how do we approach that so that people can come to a different side of the table and say, you know what,
Right.
like maybe just maybe everything that I know up to this point is wrong, and there is actually a better way to handle this. How do we get to that point?
I'll start off with this. I don't know where I heard this from, but America is racism. We're that's so embedded in our culture that if we're not racist, it seems like it's out of the norm. It is what it is. We're a hateful country, you know. We're a powerhouse, yes, but there's a lot of hate in our country. I mean, let's take middle school. Like I used to work at a middle school or whatever, and I also worked at a high school, and we naturally gravitate to who looks like us. Not until you're about a junior or a senior do you start going out your comfort zone and saying, hey, I like you. And some of that is because we experienced that person on the football team, the basketball team, in classes and stuff like that. So I guess the first thing within streaming is just giving people a chance, you know, and not just go off of what they look like. And I think that boils down to your niche, kind of with the fighting games. Man, my community is very, very diverse because we relate to each other off of fighting games, which is Tekken or Street Fighter. You know, and the same rules apply in society. A lot of kids, I'm only speaking from the male perspective, we relate to each other because of basketball, football. We played on the same team. That racial divide doesn't matter anymore. And guess what? We're sitting with each other at the lunchroom now. So I think if we focus on our niche that we're a part of, that will then in turn help people understand who you are as a person. And then I'll be able to go holler at him. He's a good dude. And the guys that are, you know, African American, that's like, yo, I kind of don't trust that. You know, I'm from Memphis. You know, I'm hood. They're able to then go to your channel like, oh, he's not bad. If CJ says Ham ain't bad, he's not bad. Boom, there we are. And that's how those communities are brought together. But, you know, it is what it is with the United States. We're just hateful like that. It's embedded in us, you know, and it takes time, or your parents in general, to be like, hey, that's not cool.
Well, and I think like we were kind of talking about that, you know, this revolution that's happening with human nature, and us realizing that we should strive for more. We should strive to desire for more from not only our games, but our friends, our family members. And we got to build. Like, we have to continue to build. I think that we're at that point of revolution. But I think what we're struggling to notice is the level of relationship that we also have to find between ourselves and between other creators. And again, I'm not doing this as like a point piece, like, hey, look at me, but more of we have this opportunity to recognize good things between people, like you said. So, you know, when someone says, hey, like, you should go and check this person out, really, they're worth it. Like, no, seriously, go out of your way to check it out because you need to take the time to do so. I think that we struggle as humans to build each other up and build those relationships because we always end up viewing others that are in, let's say, our line of work as a threat. And people are, this person's stealing my views. So how do we conquer that stigma of what can we do to build that bridge and say, no, this really is something that we need to do. We need to build a bridge because environments where we know people can be loving, people can be kind, people can be not hateful, we have to help each other build that and stay thriving, or else it falls apart. The literal revolution of love and acceptance, inclusion, diversity, all of that dies at the hands of our own making if we do not go the length to build up other communities and bridge those communities together to say, this is a safe place. Go there. It's worth it. Don't go anywhere else. Go there. Go these places. They're all worth it.
Right. I think a lot of that comes to some people. I'm making a general statement here. I'm not saying all. Some people don't understand the business of streaming. It is what it is. And once you understand the business of streaming, you don't have that problem. It's a lot of cats, again, they're trying to be the next ninja, but their content isn't that great. Not saying no names, but the content isn't great. They're like, oh, I'm just playing the game, and don't talk to the community. That's not how we win. So I use one of my template for how I operate is WWE. I'm a huge wrestling fan, right?
Okay.
But WWE isn't just on the USA Network. It's on Fox. It's on, the additional Fox is working with Peacock. It has its own network. But if WWE was like us, they would be like, no, we can't work with them. We can't work with that. Every once in a while, they work with other promotions like to make deals like New Japan. But like, hey, if you release them, we'll give you this guy. They don't necessarily bring them on their show and say, hey, we're doing a collaboration, but they're saying, hey, we give you this guy, we'll give you that. They acknowledge some of the records from other promotions. And granted, yes, there's some flaws that WWE does have.
Right.
And they're extremely competitive, obviously, with AEW going on right now and when WCW was in existence. But at the end of the day, there's overlap with the USA Network and Fox because of WWE. And I think that if we as content creators find people that we relate to, we're going to be able to have overlap with our communities because of those same rules. Like, hey, just because Ham's over there doing his thing doesn't mean that you guys can't get over there. Get out of your feelings for a second. We have similar styles of content. Go check it out. I wonder how many people that had basic cable said, you know what? I'm going to get cable because I want to watch WWE on USA. I'm pretty sure there's tons of them that done that. So I'm pretty sure the same rules apply. The people will go, hey, I like MDSoul, very similar person. Our personality is Ham. Hey, I rock with him and I'm going to continue to work with them. So it's just, we got to get a business in general, a business mindset as more beneficial for me to network with this guy versus, oh, he's trying to steal that's a horrible way to think about it too, by the way. Steal my views is like, if that person stole your views, that means you're doing something wrong to begin with anyway. So it's you, not them,
Well, and I've made that point that like if a person coming into my chat, just a single person, like that I drop the line and someone says like, oh yeah, here's my stream, come check it out. If I'm losing people to an individual coming into chat and saying like, hey, you should come watch my stream, and people are walking out of my stream to go check that out, if I'm yelling about it and making a big fuss about it, I'm indirectly stating that I have no faith and no loyalty to my community because I don't trust them. I don't trust them to want to stay, to want to be interested, or to invest the time that they've already invested here. Like, that is what I'm saying on the back end, let alone on the front end. But obviously there's some other dilemmas there about, a person trying to go out of their way to self-promote, which is just, that's another problem within the industry.
That's
it's just rude.
Problem,
yeah. But so like, I agree with you that, you should have faith in your community just as much as they have faith in you and what you're doing and what you're building and what you're creating. And it's interesting though, because like, I know that you brought up the point that, we're building these communities and communities aren't always a threat, but in reality, I don't know how many times that you've run into some of those communities where they literally are building communities of hate because they have an interest shared of hate.
Yes.
So how do we, it's the same reason that you've run into raids. How do we combat that in the future and state, what can we do? Like, do we hold Twitch more accountable? Do we walk up to Twitch and say, listen, there's 100 of us in the background. We recognize that this location, this stream has been doing X, Y, and Z in order to literally debilitate, demean, and demoralize communities of love and acceptance out there and diversity and everything. And they're tearing your platform apart. They're setting the example that you are willing to let this occur on your platform, which attracts more people to want to be here to do that. How do we tear that down and rebuild?
We can do things as communities, which is, oh bro, I saw that happened. Let me hook you up with a raid that I normally don't do. I'm purposely gonna build up my stream today so that I can come over there and give you a raid that's positive. That's one way we can stop that. But the problem is Twitch in general, it's it either sways one way or the other way. It's too positive, or on the other side, it's too negative. There's no happy medium, you know? When Twitch first started, everybody's like, yeah, good vibes, positive thinking. And it was very corny, right? But then they swayed all the way to the other side, and it was negative, but it was entertaining, you know? And I use Dr. Disrespect I think he's a great example of that. He is not hateful per se himself, but he thrives off that hate, you know,
Yeah.
that rah, that aggressiveness,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's up to Twitch to shut that down, which they sort of did. But Twitch, they don't shut it down. They just put a Band-Aid over a bullet wound, you know, and they're very reactive and not proactive. So in my opinion, to kind of help those things come along, what Twitch needs to do in general, instead of saying they have to build up their staff. They have the money to build up their staff. They should be able to go. You can't hit every stream, but they should be able to hit a lot of streams, especially those streams that are getting a lot of traction. If you see a stream that has between 20 and 50 viewers consistently, they're going to be something special eventually. They're doing well in Tekken, and Tekken normally in the evening time has 100, but during the daytime they only have 12. But this guy right here, he has 30. Wait, hold on, I need to keep an eye on this guy right here. And they're not doing that. They're not being proactive, and that's what I kind of would give Mixer their props on. Mixer they were reactive, but they were a little bit more proactive than Twitch, which they would have a mod like, hey, this video game is 18 plus. I'm changing that for you. Oh, my bad. Thank you. It's not supposed to be teen. They should be doing more stuff like that. But then to go and say, well, we're banning these 3 words, that doesn't do nothing. And for that matter, nobody was complaining about those 3 words either. That's not inclusive, banning those 3 words. Ban that 4th one that's been used this whole time. And I don't care. I'm black. And I intentionally try not to use that word. Is it in my vocabulary? Yeah, I won't lie to you. However, I'm a professional. I don't use that during my streams or anything like that. And for that matter, I don't use it in front of my children or anything like I don't. Have I used it before? Yeah, absolutely. But there's a lot of channels, there's a lot of streams that allow that. I'm black, I can use it. So I have people coming into my channel now. Hey, what's up, my N-word? I'm like, no, we don't do that here. But I'm black. I don't care. We don't do that here. But because of Twitch's policy, they're like, well, technically that's not hate, because they're like, no, ban it, period. But they refuse to ban those type of words. It makes no sense. So be more proactive in saying, all right, now we're gonna find all these negative words. If one's bad, all of them are bad. That's the first thing. The next thing is, hey, just because it's spelled with the 1 doesn't mean it's still not bad. You know, it's like, come on, it's common sense. You know, just because you use multiple A's behind it doesn't mean it's still not a bad word, you know, and you kind of see that, you know, there's a couple people that slip through the cracks.
Right.
And like, no, I think there should be a little bit of, there just should be a whole lot more monitoring of this. So now here it is. And hear me out. And I think this might be a proactive solution for people to stay safe on a platform like Twitch. And I mentioned it before. It's not a perfect solution, but it is something. When you create an account and you are above the age of 18, I think you should do that. You should scan your driver's license. Is not for somebody to steal your driver's license and your identity, but scan it in there. So now we know who you are. So if you're making multiple accounts, you still have to scan in that driver's license, and that driver's license is related to multiple accounts. We know who to go to. Boom, delete. Now, if you have children and stuff like that, you have to do the same thing. Scan your ID card in there, and boom, you have your email attached to that, and now you're getting email updates. Your child is saying blah, 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 blah on X, Y, and Z channels. If this continues, we will not only ban his account, we will ban each and every account that's attached to your driver's license or your ID card.
Right.
Yes, I got it. People counterfeit and people do all that stuff.
Right.
But man, like for something like that, I don't think a person would counterfeit multiple ID cards just so they can control. And for that matter, if you really like this platform and you want to keep it safe, I don't think people would mind doing that. I know I wouldn't mind doing that. It doesn't have my social security number on there. I guess the only problem is if someone, hacks Twitch and information leaks and all that good stuff. That's the only thing. But I mean, black it out or something like that. But yeah, someone said Twitch doesn't care. They don't care. It's a corporation. It's not a community. It is what it is. It's up to us to build the community, not the corporation.
Right.
But that's just my thought. I'm pretty sure it's impossible to do that. You can't force somebody's hands. I'm pretty sure you would lose streamers. I'm pretty sure you lose viewers. But it will make the community stronger, and it will help with the toxicity within the communities on Twitch.
So I think that one of the interesting bits about it is that there is a platform that exists out there in the East, Huya. They're basically the Tencent conversion of Trovo. So they're the same company, the same parent company, and they require Chinese national ID in order to register an account. Right. So if you don't have an ID to be within the country, even if it's like essentially the equivocal of a green card, to be there. Thank you for the follow, by the way. If you're not within that country, have identity or have papers, have whatever to state that you're there, you can't make an account on the platform to stream in the first place. So there is that level of accountability. Now China's kind of known for being a little invasive into people's privacy, but
no pun intended, laying the hammer.
but literally, like they're creating that level of accountability, and they don't have a lot of people doing stuff that's absurd because, again, it's like you're also within a country where they'll just come to your house and just do nasty stuff to you in the first place. But absolutely, you don't have that. It's like people aren't like going to a place and doing a hate raid. Maybe they are, but they're probably reaping the benefits of that as well. So, or I should say consequences, not benefits.
And then now here it is. Now you're protecting minors. So minors aren't necessarily going to be able to stream until they, go over that threshold. You're protecting, females, and then and the list of stuff goes on and on.
Yeah.
And so I guess that would lead into the other thing, and I guess this because I don't know how to solve this problem, which is again I don't know what other term to use, but the female streamers that like, hey, I'm sitting here and I'm doing just this, and you watch me sleep, or you watch me, pick my nose or eat or whatever. That's not really content, but there's communities built around that. So in Twitch allows that in their partner streamers, and they're making oodles of dollars, man, from not only the Twitch, but the donations and all sorts of things. How do you combat that? Because that's not really a community. I mean, it's one thing to go to be a member of, a gym, and you build community with that.
Yeah.
It's another thing to be a regular at a strip club, but you don't put the strip club and the gym together and say, hey, hey, don't worry. Like that's unethical. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so I guess the question is kind of like you said, right? People have a right to be, people have a right to be perverted. We're humans, right? At the end of the day, we have our own interests. We have our own whatever. If you were to create a kind of way to get to those spectrums, way to get to those communities where you still can create a community around a shared common interest, right? Because community by definition literally is shared interest. Even if that's a shared interest within something that can be sexualized, is it our job to police what a person's doing as long as they're not hurting someone?
Well, I mean, they policed up. Remember, they just recently policed up those 3 words that we're not allowed to say on a channel, right? They're doing policing to protect those communities.
Yeah, but
so I'm like,
if the word can be used in a way that is hateful, right? And now I agree with your previous statement. There are other words that we also need to combat as well. But if a word can be used in something that is hateful, do we allow that on the platform? If a community isn't doing anything that's hateful, are they doing anything wrong?
It's kind. Yeah. I guess the answer to me, the answer is no, no different than they have the ESRB ratings. I think there needs to be some type of rating system within this stuff. They kind of did it on Mixer. They sort of do it here on Twitch, but there should be just different levels of this to where I'm not saying that Twitch should go out of the way and start buying stuff like OnlyFans, like Facebook is buying up all these different platforms or something like that. But it's like, you know what it is, go to this section right now. So now everybody that wants to be a little pervy, they can go over there and it doesn't affect everybody else. You know, so like I would say like if one of those, I would even say a young man, because there's some young dudes that are out there that attract a certain type of audience. But doesn't matter who you are, if you are playing Tekken and you got some type of sexual thing going on, that shouldn't be in the Tekken category. It should be like Tekken X or something like it's keeping it separated from the content that's there. Do you benefit from that many people being pervy? Yeah, absolutely. You do. But I think it needs to be separated. No different than Mortal Kombat initially was separated from, you know, Street Fighter. It was in a totally different category, and it protected children, right? And that's kind of, it's not my sole goal. I mean, I have 3 sons, 4, 11, and 13, but I wouldn't mind them to put more things, proactive things in place to keep them from getting to that rated X Grand Theft Auto. And Grand Theft Auto, I wouldn't say it's bad, but it has a lot of adult content in there as it is anyway.
Yeah.
You know, but they take it to the next level, and I'm like, whoa, that next level thing right there, even though I'm monitoring what my children are watching, it's still easy to stumble across that by, hey, I'm hosting or rating this channel, and the next thing you know, oh my God, Dad, I see some cleavage. I'm like,
Right.
You know.
So what? So I guess the solution then would be, at least a solution, could be that, you know, you create an indicator, and you know how like Mixer had that thing for Hype Zone where it would automatically scan that, like, hey, this is something that's about to finish. You know, Apex is about to go crazy. You know, PUBG or Fortnite, it's about to go crazy, and we're about to see a win or whatever.
That.
Like, this is an intense moment. Like, let's feature their channel. So, like,
Right.
obviously, you have games that have mature content. Is like you could flag the mature content and then allow for you to opt in that you can view content like that if you choose, but you have to register personal information. Like, you have a registered identity that proves that you are of an age that you can do so. Or have a parent that's willing to consent to say that, yes, you are allowed to view that content. So it would be by choice. Like, yeah, it's like, you know how that there's that new OBS plugin and it's Streamlabs where you can put like almost like a glass shield over top of an image, and so like you can't see it, like a filter. It'd be like that. You know, hey, we're recognizing that a scene is occurring. We're gonna put this over the top if you haven't registered that you're allowed to view that. If you haven't chosen to do it.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
It would still offer the freedom of a community to be able to view those things and say that, no, I am consenting to this. I am a consenting adult. I do have the right. I do have, and this is something I'm interested in. Like, I can do it without being harmful or hurtful. I can do it without trying to, you know, I know that Twitch has been hit with communities out there, especially within like the Pokemon category, where like individuals have tried to lure young kids in. And like, that's its own problem, right? They continue to exist. Like, you continue to see, like, especially with the Me Too movement that existed right during the Mixer shutdown, same time period. Like, you saw a lot of that stuff come out as well. Like, how do we continue to combat platforms and communities that do things out of the purpose, out of the intent of hurt and hate and harm? And how do we grow and nurture these communities that continue to do things of benefit? And I think we're seeing a lot of people, as you've kind of stated, some people are doing it for the fame, doing it for the fortune, doing it for the incentive of popularity. And they'll do things with the intent of drama, with the intent of, you know, the risque behavior. For the views, for the intent of fame. You know, they're abusing the system, as it will, because they know the line that they can cross up to or walk up to, and they'll create the tension in order to see the level of success. But is it is it something that we need to allow or disallow? And how do we, I guess, like we were kind of talking about, how do we allow that where it's applicable, like where people can do it? I mean, like if you're, let's say you're into, fighting games, but you're doing it and you want to watch it where it's like everyone's completely unclothed. You just don't care. Like that's your thing, right? So like same concept. You've got a filter on there that says, hey, you know what? If you're just a regular individual, you haven't done the check, we're not going to let you see it. But hey, if you want to patch your game to allow for that to happen, like you can do so in your spare time. We're not anyone that should be blocking that or policing that, but we do want to make sure that you have rights to do so.
Right. Yeah. I think that's a pretty good answer. And I'm looked at the chat here. To kind of, I want to hit on that real fast. I'm for free speech and free actions, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have a consequence. Free speech in the United States is not, I can say with anything I want to. It protects you against the government, not individuals.
Yep.
So if you come to me and say you're a punk bi blah 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 blah, well, the consequences are probably going to hit you in the mouth. So I understand that statement that was said there, but free speech isn't say whatever the heck you want to. But I do ultimately agree with you. There should be some type of filter system and monitoring system. I mean, I think we should be able to do whatever we want to do, but understanding that there's going to be some sort of backlash that's going to come back to it. Not saying that necessarily cancel, because cancel culture itself is running rampant in general.
And that's a whole new problem.
I'm pretty sure we all seen that.
Yep.
But there has to be some happy medium that's not too extreme, not too lax, that we all can agree on. But ultimately, it means that we have to be proactive. So I think the example is, if in general, if we know the people that are doing those toxic raids and stuff like that,
yep,
I wouldn't necessarily say go back and do it to them. I mean, that's an option, but I think another option would be to get your community. You got 20, 50, 100 people, just blow up Twitch's inbox. Yes, it takes a lot of coordination to do that, but if they see 100 or so messages in their inbox with a very similar subject line, they're going to eventually go, wait, hold on, this is a problem, what's going on? But what happens is you get about 5, so it falls on deaf ears. You know? If I'm saying that, deaf, yeah. So if we're able to, like me, you, whoever else is in the chat right now, we have a totally separate Discord because we know we have strong communities. Hey man, this is what happened. We need to address this. So we're all talking in this creators community right here, just for creators. Then each one of us go to our own community and say, hey guys, this and this. If there's 10 of us and we're able to get 10 more people from each of our communities to do that, say, hey, here's the template for the email. We just need you to send this email. I think we might be able to do something. But for whatever reason, kind of going back all the way to the front of your statement there, like people just, they're in it for the wrong reasons. Well, how come I'm not in charge? Is this a stream team? How come you guys aren't watching my stream? I didn't get no love. No, that's not the purpose of this. All right, the purpose is to build a positive community without being attacked. So get out your feelings for a second and don't use this as a personal gain or a place where you can vent. Because sometimes people just like to vent and like drama. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Don't get your panties in a bunch, and let's try to make this a better thing. Let's see if we all can agree on this one subject matter right here that's an issue. Let's see if we all can email Twitch, us in our communities, and see if we can make a change.
Well, and
I think that's a pretty good. I think that might be a way we can do that.
There aren't many comedies that make the top 100 films of all time. A lot of everything that exists out there. We're as humans, we like drama. We like to live outside our lives. We like to live vicariously through those situations of tension, be it sexual or emotional or whatever. Like we thrive on that. And so like what we're essentially asking the world to do is to step outside of our own existence and how we're wired. and start to look for something that's a little bit different. And while we can still enjoy in drama, we can still enjoy in that bit. It should be exactly that, just a bit, something that's been set up with the intent and the purpose to be fictional, and it's just there, and you know it. It's transparent. Like, oh, I'm just gonna guys, I'm gonna create shit with MDSoul. I'm gonna do it. We're just gonna he knows he's in on it. I know I'm in on it. We're just gonna start some shit with him. And it's not gonna be anything that's crazy, but like I'm gonna tell him that he's terrible at Tekken, and he's gonna laugh about it and say I'm bad at Apex. You know what's going on. You know, you're messing with each other. Like that would be one world, right? But you could still build that up and say that this is something that we're creating for the purpose of the entertainment value.
Right. I mean, WWE does it all the time.
Exactly.
They start their feuds on Twitch. Baron Corbin be like, Big E, you suck. Big E goes, Baron Corbin, you're bald and you're losing hair. Oh, how dare you tell me I'm bald, I'm losing hair. They get interaction with their communities, and Baron Corbin's gonna beat up Big E. Big E's gonna beat up Baron. Next thing you know, you see him on TV going at it. You know,
right?
I think that's a great idea to do. Again, it kind of goes back. Well, that was a little too personal for me. Or hey, this time I had 20 views and you had 100 views. I don't like that. Why can't? Come on, dude. It's about building the community. We
right.
always, it always happens. It's always that one guy. Always that one guy.
Yep.
So you know, as a matter of fact, it kind of reminds me what I was talking to you about on Twitter. You know, I'm intentionally, and I'm not saying anybody has to do it. It's just my style. I think it's rude for you to say I'm interviewing you and then I'm streaming at the same time. Like, I still can win with you streaming and I'm getting introduced to your community. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not intimidated by you.
Right.
I shouldn't be intimidated by you. So I should be able to say, hey, I'm going to shut my stream down and stop entertaining my people for a second so that I can fully engage in Ham's community and get to know them and they can get to know me. The same rules apply with WWE. Like, why can't we do that? But again, there's always that one guy. Oh, my feelings are hurt. Oh, I can't. How come I couldn't do it too? Oh, I only got 5 follows out of that. Like, no. If you're trying to get follows or views, you're in this business for the wrong reasons.
Yep. Well, I mean, you're in it for a reason. I don't know if I would call it. Again, just looking from the outside in, I don't know if I would call it wrong. Just different. You're in it for a different intent, and it may not work the best way if you are doing it in that manner. But you know, but if that's your dream, power to you. I don't know if it's going to work well. So I would agree with you. Like it's, you know, it's right. You have to approach it, I think, with a different mindset. And I think we're, like I said, starting to see that. I think one of the things that's been challenging for us within the past couple of years is, like you had talked about, cancel culture. We're seeing a lot of this aspect of, you know, we jump on a bandwagon immediately. And I'm not going to bring any specific tweets or any specific statements up because, you know, that could lead to a whole, like, hey, well, I believe this and I believe that. But just the notion of cancel culture. And I think that there are moments where we need it, right? Like, I think that there are moments where we have evidence and proof from a multitude of people, real statements, maybe even like stuff that made it to court, you know, whatever. And we have the evidence to back up that something is going on here. You can do the research, and we encourage you to do that yourself to make sure that you're making a decision that matches up. But we don't think that this person should be supported anymore, and here is why. We see a lot of drama that gets created for the purpose of success because I don't like that the way person's succeeding over me, and I feel like I deserve this more. I know that they said some things along this line, so I'm going to twist that, use it to my advantage, and see if I can bring them down because I know that their viewers will come to me. Like, that shit is happening left and right. I mean, it's rampant within the industry, and in life in general. But like, how do you feel like looking forward or going forward, we need to address situations that are important, that counter and combat hate, while still maintaining a level of sincerity and solidarity to build people up, and not use cancel culture as a means of a delivery system to quote unquote take people down?
Right. So, I'm glad you brought that up because I haven't talked about that in a very long time.
Well, I'm excited.
I don't think it. I don't think it was Mixer's downfall, but it was one of the reasons why they're like Mixer's
Yeah,
done.
I would agree with that.
My problem with what happened is that once there was one thing that was uncovered, everybody had a problem. Like what? Wait, hold on. And not every situation was that. They were doing it for attention. You know, again, we're not using names or anything like that. But one person says, I was touched inappropriately by blah, 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 blah. Somebody else then goes and says, I too was touched. Like, wait, hold on. You guys were best friends. But now you're saying this? Where's this coming from? Why didn't you say this earlier? And I know, got it. Some people aren't confident until somebody else comes forward. I totally understand that. I totally get that. But for the sake of your transition to Twitch to get the follows, that's nonsense. Oh, I feel sorry for you. You're getting, I feel sorry for you follows and views. That's not, to me, that's not okay. And then to, on top of that, to not press charges. If you're going to do all that to kill somebody's career, go ahead, put the nail in the coffin and then press charges. But they didn't do that. I'm like, well, you know, I know that's kind of a tangent and that's not what we're talking about here, but it goes into community. You know, if that's the type of community you had to begin with, your whole community needs to be canceled in a sense. And so if you see that name from that community, like, oh, that's a ban. Stop! Don't come here. I don't want you there. But no, they're like, I want your people from your community to hate you, but love me and feel sorry for me, and that's my way of changing the world. That's not how we change the world, through canceling them to like you're almost strong arming somebody.
Yeah.
To do like, no, I want you to not do it because you don't want to do it, not because I'm pretty or handsome or because we're part of an exclusive club, you know?
No, I mean, there's definitely challenges because there are restrictions that obviously can end up occurring based off of litigation. You know, some people can't go forward because time or money or whatever, they can't afford the lawyer in order to even, you know, take it to court. They just want to come forward and tell their story. And then you have other situations where, like you said, things are fabricated, things have been pushed. And I think like our responsibility going forward is that, you know, it is okay. And we need to make it okay with other people out there, but it is okay that you can go to an individual and ask questions and fact check. It's okay for you to go and say, is this actually a thing? I mean, like we see tweets out there of we can't do this, or, you know, we're being told, you know, like essentially ableism, that something is viewed in this light and we just have to accept that. Because we're not there, we're not a part of it, we're not a part of that viewpoint, we don't know any better, we're not of that culture, that mindset, the ideal, or anything. Like, we just have to accept that something is the truth. And I think that it is okay for you as an individual to go to the lengths to ask questions and say, hey, is this, I want some education. And it takes a little bit of understanding in your approach, because you have to approach it from a source of education, a source of light, a source of knowledge, and say, I just need the facts. We're just trying to explore this because, you know, we heard this about this, and I want to make sure we're getting all the things on the table to make an executive decision. We want to make sure everything's known. And so if you're willing to share that, we would love to hear that. We would love for you to be able to tell us, you know, your account, your tale, your story, so we can make a more conscious decision. And Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, but so I'll use this as an example. You know, streaming is in its infancy. There's still things that we're not too sure about and how to operate in this environment. So remember when it was in the 20s, I think it was, they had a radio show that did a broadcast that was about an alien invasion.
The War of the Worlds broadcast.
Yeah, it created mass hysteria.
Yep.
And after that, they say, well, we can't do that anymore. we just can't. You know, same thing with TV. There was a point in time where they're like, you know, hey, when 7 o'clock hits, there's no more TV. And then they built upon that as time went on.
Yep.
And I think over time, we'll see it in our lifetime. I know for my children, if they decide they want to stream, I believe they're going to be in a safer environment, in a safer space.
Mm-hmm.
But the run phase of what streaming is, I don't think we'll see it in our lifetime. You know, my grandfather just barely seeing the evolution of what TV is today. TV is totally different from what it was in, you know, when he was growing up, from the transition from the radio to the TV to the internet. You know, now the internet is streaming, like literal stream, like Twitch is competing with Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, all those things, you know. So they too are setting the standard. Granted, they're not doing live interactions or anything like that, but you know, we just have to accept these growth pains as we're moving forward, and together help each other walk, and try to figure out the solution. To just be really, really patient with each other and weed out the bad guys and shun the bad guys and don't let them seep into the industry, you know?
Well, and so now I love the statement of what you just said, that we don't want to let them seep into the industry. But as we had discussed earlier, and you brought up, you know, Twitch started out as a completely different mindset. Like, what was it? Justin TV was essentially like a dating service for like a different category, and so they were using that as like, oh yeah, here's gamers, and like if you want, you can try and meet people, and it's really cool, and blah 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 blah. And then you start to see that, you know, I've discussed it in one of my previous interviews that essentially gaming 20 years ago was a closet hobby. You know, people didn't talk about that. If you did, you were a nerd. You were like the abysmal, like no one wanted to support you. No one wanted to be around you except for fellow gamers. And so being a pro gamer was like, wow, yeah, what a joke. Meanwhile, there's people earning millions of dollars going to competitions, just the same as, you know, professional sports stars. Yeah. And so like they're blowing it up, right? But you've created this mental attitude within your own industry because you were pushed away, and kind of, as we discussed, you were socially antisocial. You know, you wanted to create a community around gaming, but you also kind of wanted to do your own thing because every experience that you've been taught thus far has been negative. If you bring it up in a conversation, it's negative. And now we're starting to see a shift in that within society, because you have kids that are going out there, and every parent wants to support their kid to be the next Fortnite star on you know, Twitch or whatever. But we built Twitch, or Twitch was built, the community of Twitch was built on the premise that, you know, we're negative. We're the outcasts, and we can be toxic all the hell we want to, because that's our experience. That's our delve into social interactions, is we're you know, we're no one. We're nobody. We're the collection of nobodies.
I would, but here would be my argument here, and where I'm like, just because you were treated that way doesn't mean you should respond that way. And I would say, you know, obviously I'm a black guy, right? So within the African American community that we have the blurred community. I don't know if you heard about it or not, like, or anything like that. We have the blurred community, the black nerd community, and it's just a community of people that just don't care. We like anime. We like we like pop culture. We like nerd stuff, right? And within that community, it typically doesn't get toxic, you know? And it's us supporting each other. Like, hey, we have the same interests. We're outcasts. And because we have the same interests, I'm going to support you. You know, I think that's the caveat here. And this isn't a jab. And again, some of it's a general statement. I don't know why certain demographics, because they receive hate, they in turn give more hate. I never really understood that concept, because I mean, look, let's Punk the God. I'm mentioning fighting game heroes. Majority of them are minorities. You know, Punk the God, Smug the Beast, Cuddlecore, Justin Wong, Diego, JDCR. They're I wouldn't necessarily say they're outcasts. They're a group of people that came together. Sonic Fox, there we go. Sonic Fox is another one. And shoot, he's a queer furry. That's what he calls himself, the queer furry. And they were able to build communities that weren't full of hate. So my confusion is, and where I put the ball back into your court is, where does this hate come from certain people that says, hey, I was picked on as a kid, I was bullied, and in return, I'm gonna get really, really popular on the internet, and I'm gonna give the same hate that was given to me.
I mean, I agree with you that you don't fight fire with fire, because it just further reinforces the mindset. So like, if I've got a negative viewpoint and someone comes up to me and says, "Well, you're wrong and here's why, and you're an asshole." Like, I don't want to interact with them. I don't want to talk to them. That just makes me think, "Oh, well, I must be doing something right because this person's being a total jerk to me." So like, I've got to be doing something okay. So now you're pushing people further away on both ends of the spectrum. So because person A, you know, says, "Hey, person B is wrong," person B, you know, retracts away from the conversation and they say, "I'm going to hold on to my values, but even more so, I'm going to double down." And then person A doesn't understand why person B doesn't go to their side. So then person A says, "Well, everyone from person B's side is garbage. They're all garbage human beings." So then the divide just gets further and further and further apart. And I believe that's what we're starting to see, is that there is no middle ground. How do we get back to middle ground? Because in the day, if you go as far back to, you know, like, let's say late 1800s, there were like 9 presidential candidates who were in the running. And, you know, the margin of winning was like 8%. Like, oh, okay, I won presidency with 8% vote. That's outrageous. Not any time.
That's crazy, right?
Not any time in this modern age would you ever see that happening. And so again, we reinforce this notion that you have two ideologies of thought, and you're rather one or the other. And that's usually the case with almost every argument. You're rather for or against. There's not a gray area, which honestly, as humans, we tend to fall within gray area. There are mathematical proofs of it's rather you're right or you're wrong, right? Like if you look at a pad of paper, is this ruled? Yes, it's a ruled paper. You can't argue that. It's ruled, you know? But there are a lot of things when you're talking about human emotion and thought that the conversation gets much more blurred between these ruled lines. There's a lot of things that exist on this paper that you cannot write down. And so I think that, you know, as we're moving towards this future, we need to find a way to get away from the notion of divisibility and create a notion of congealing thought, that you can kind of go back and forth. You can kind of go back and forth between, you know what, today I have this mindset, but this education that I found today and yesterday and the day before has pushed me further and further towards this notion. And then evidence might exist tomorrow that brings me back to a different thought. And I think that that's the idea between growth mindsets and closed mindsets or fixed mindsets, is that you have a line of thought that you exist and will never deviate from, never change from. And then individuals who create loving, beautiful communities, that they're open to difference. They're open to something that is not what they believe or what they know. And how do we as a society, how do we as Twitch communities further nurture growth mindsets?
Yeah, so I think I do a fairly decent job, and I've changed the culture of my channel coming from Mixer to Twitch. And one of the things that I call it the young man complex. And the young man complex does two things. When you first thing is, you don't talk to listen, you talk to say your side of the story. And so, like, I'll come to you and say, "Hey, how are you doing?" I don't really care. I'm just waiting for you to finish up, and so that I can say whatever it is I got to say. Right? That happens all the time.
Yeah.
That's your young man complex. So I try to change the dialogue to be more engaging, so you're not just focused on oneself. I'm pretty sure you see it all the time in your chats, which is you're playing a game or you're on a topic, and someone just jumps in there and says, "Hey, I have a dog." You're like, "What? What are you talking about?" Then you're like, "Dude, stay on topic." And then you get back on topic and you do your thing. You got to condition your community to stay on topic. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, instead of trying to argue or debate to win, you have to argue and debate to understand. And if you develop a culture and a community that debates to understand each other's perspective, you're always going to win, man. So like, I do a top 10s. My community goes in they go nuts. I do top 10s and I do tier lists. And today I said top 10 hottest fighting game females, right? And Orchid from Killer Instincts was my number one. They're like, no, not number one. And I was like, well, tell me what's your top 10. If you don't have a top 10, shut up. Don't just insult me and say my top 10 is wrong. Tell me what talk to me in Discord. Post your top 10. Same thing with my tier list. I had a tier list, you know, S class to F on cereal, for crying out loud. Oh, I can't believe you put Corn Pops as a B. I don't think it's an A. You're telling me Cocoa Pebbles. So I'm having this discussion about this, and then I'm like, well, if you don't like it, show me what your tier list looks like. Don't argue with me about it, because frankly, I don't care. But if we can understand each other's point of views and be able to describe it, we're not arguing anymore. We're just having a regular discussion. Like me and you right now, we're discussing, we're not arguing. But I'm not trying to strong arm you and saying, no, this is the way it's supposed to, and it has to be this way. We're saying, hey, that's a good point that you make. Oh, that's another good point. Well, I don't know about that point, but here's the solution to that, you know. And I guess that plays into the other thing, which is what I have a military mindset, obviously, which is if you have a problem, which is crap, don't come to the table with no toilet tissue, you know. Wipe it up, you know. So if I'm talking trash or I have a crappy top 10, bring some toilet tissue so you can clean it up. And sometimes you don't have 4-ply. Sometimes you have the sandpaper toilet tissue at the gas station. But our goal is to have wet wipes and a bidet and to have a decent discussion, you know. And I think that's fair. And I think that's what me and you are doing right here. And I think me and you both bring wet wipes.
I would agree. So one of the things that I like to talk about a lot is that there is a difference between an argument and a debate. And strictly by definition, an argument is an aggressive or heated discussion with the intent to sway the person's mindset. I am trying to win you over and bring you to my side of that discussion and say your opinion is shit. I'm bringing the toilet paper, I'm getting rid of it, and I'm bringing you over here, right? But a debate is like hey, listen, you know, you shit your way, I shit my way, we're all just people, you know? Whatever works, that's a thing. And I get it. I feel it. And so I think that we have a new problem, that as society, we tend to have this view or this ethic of giving this negative air around the approachment of subject matter, of debate, of topic, of discussion, where every single time that we get into something that Americans as individuals and other societies as well, we view it as okay, so if you don't have an opinion about, I'm just going to use a poster in the background, who wins, Charizard or Blastoise, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Like, I do not care. And then it makes the person literally retract back into themselves that I came to this discussion without an opinion, and oh my God, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I don't even want to approach Pokemon. Pokemon's garbage. I'm done. I'm done with anything related to Pokemon. If someone says the word Pokemon, I'm out. So how do we get away from this notion of debasing an individual, of demeaning them simply for coming to a conversation with a viewpoint that might be different? Because I think that is something that has been ingrained year over year, decade over decade within Americans, let alone other societies.
It's very American. Yeah, we're just like that.
Yeah, like we do that. It's like, oh, well, you're again, just for ease of conversation. Oh, I'm a Republican, you're a Democrat, and again, not reflective of either of us. Oh, and you have this view. Well, you know, screw you. Like, I can't believe that. And you come in and you're like, well, man, I just wanted to have a conversation, but now I feel like I'm doing a terrible thing, and I don't want to talk about politics anymore. How do we get to a point where we can discuss and debate without reprimanding an individual simply for approaching that table? How can we supply them with the toilet paper?
Right. Again, I think it's very first part of this is just remind him, like, a lot of people don't understand what culture is. People think culture is, you know, my heritage. They think culture is what your family does, but culture is really the personality of your organization or your business. You learn you I'm not saying you specifically, but if you go to one of those college courses and you talk about business, that's one of the things that the business classes talk about. What is the culture of your company? What are the standards you set in place?
Mm-hmm.
A culture is also not doing anything at all and just allowing everybody to run rampant
Yep.
like a wild man.
Yep.
That is a culture.
Yeah.
So I was about to say it, I'm not going into politics, but like Sega, their culture was aggressive. Sega does what Nintendo don't, right? And it's always about dissing and talking trash, and that's the culture that they created.
Mm-hmm.
So Nintendo, on the other hand, they were like, no. We don't do blood. We don't talk trash.
Yep.
We just do our thing here, and we're gonna make it great. Our graphics are better, and then that was the culture of Nintendo. Some people like that culture, and other people don't. And I think for us, when we're talking about streaming, you cannot leaving your community alone to fend for itself. It was always going to create a negative culture.
Absolutely.
I've seen it over and over again with a lot of female streamers. I love them. Like, I'm not saying no names. I love them, but it starts off with, "Girl, you fine." They're like, "Oh, thank you very much." Then the next thing you know, they take another step. I wonder what you look like without your clothes on. Stop it. Versus going, "Hey, we don't do this here. Stop the freaking madness."
Yeah.
Like, I've gone to a community. I'm Southern. I know you can't tell in my voice, but I'm from Tennessee. So I naturally go, "Hey, sweetheart, what's good? Hey, girlfriend, how you doing?"
Yep.
So I'll go into a community. "Hey, girlfriend." They know me personally, some of them. "Hey, girlfriend, what's up?" Their mods immediately, "Hey, don't talk to her that way." And they delete my message. Like, "My bad. I'm sorry. I know her personally." They're like, "Yo, CJ's good. MDSoul's good. Hey, don't worry about it. He didn't mean it." But they created a culture that doesn't allow that for the community.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing when I say, "Hey, we don't use the N-word here. We just don't." There's a lot of people that use the N-word, but when they come to my channel, they don't do it, because I created a culture for the channel that allows for debate without being toxic. And we try not to do as much cursing. I try not to, because I have kids.
I get it.
What type of legacy I'm going to leave if my children go back and look at my channel, and when they get older, like, "My dad cusses a lot." It's like, I don't want that. So I'm trying to create this a culture, and I don't think we say that enough. And that's why I'm saying it over and over again. We have to create a culture that is inclusive. And I get you're saying, like, how do we do that? But it is to say, "Hey, I rock with him, go to his channel," and condition your viewers, condition your communities to say, "Hey, I'm going to stick around for 2 seconds because this person that they're hosting, they relate to him. Because they relate to him, they got similar personalities.
Right.
So I'm naturally going to like them." However, if you've conditioned your community, and that's what I had to stop doing. If I condition my community, "Hey, I do fighting games," and then I host up somebody, or I raid somebody that's Apex or Rocket League, they're gonna be like, "I don't trust you." Because I was here for fighting games, and now you're sending me to Rocket League. I'm confused, and now I've lost trust from my community. And I'm not continuing to build the culture that I've created, even though I might like that person that plays Rocket League or Call of Duty, so.
Well, and I think it goes back a bit to that you've got this sense towards the drama or towards comedy. You've got a sense towards, open or fixed mindsets, closed mindsets.
Yeah.
And you have individuals who are there for a person, and then you have an individual who's there for a content, like, be it fighting games or Rocket League or RPGs or, whatever it is. They're there because that is their escape. This is their free time that they're using, and they only want to view that. You're going to get that, I think, no matter what. And so I think I don't necessarily want to say that. I mean, I get your notion of saying that you're not putting or losing trust within your community. You're bridging that by changing the game or doing whatever. But I get it. I get where that's coming from, but I think that no matter what, that's going to happen. No matter what, you're going to get a person who's there because, hey, listen, CJ MD, he's playing fighting games today. I want to just watch people smash it. I love his skill. I love his knowledge. I love his experience. I don't care about anything else. I'm a fighting guy. That's my thing. That's my niche. That's my interest. All I care about is fighting, and I care about MD. I care about the knowledge. I care about the experience within the field. But the moment I shift gears to someone else, I'm not invested. It's not because they're not invested in you. It's because they're not invested in any other category. It's like a person who only likes to watch horror movies. They only care about, the stabbing, blood, guts, and gore. You give them a rom-com and they're like, what the hell is this?
Right.
I don't get it.
So like, all right, here goes the next step then. All right. So I completely understand what you're saying, but that also plays into what we also said earlier is when we talked about the kids in the lunchroom, is like what's the thing that they have in common? It's basketball. So now that community that normally wouldn't talk to each other, they're able to relate based off of basketball. So I'm granted, I do just chatting. I didn't even know there was just talk shows and podcasts. I didn't know there was that community. Now that I know, I'm going to use it more often.
Fair enough.
But it's easier for me to have my community that is for that, to have that common interest. So if I have, it is what it is. This isn't making a racial statement, and I'm not trying to stir the pot. But if majority of my community is African American or some sort of minority, it's easier for them to digest you if there is something that starts off that's in common.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I mean, you've got to have, and again, base of the definition of community is having something in common, and then having your own, unique aspects, your unique flair, the things that make you. You have those that play into it. So it's like, okay, well, if I'm interested in fighting games, like if someone rated you, I don't have a large interest in fighting games, but I have a large interest in communication and talking. So if they raid you while you're doing a just chatting section, I'm gonna be like, okay, let me tune in. But if I'm just watching fighting, like I'm probably gonna walk away. Like, I trust that the person knows that this person, but like I need to have the information before I get into that conversation. So like if I say, listen, I'll use the example. Juicy Absolute plays a bunch of different games, a wide variety of different titles. And, he does a whole bunch of completion games, but there's sometimes he slows down and he'll have a conversation about a topic that just really makes you want to chat about it.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm getting that setup, the lineup for the joke. That I know what I'm getting before I walk into it. And so it's like, okay, well, now I'm going to trust CJ. I'm going to stay around just for a little bit longer. You know what? I really hate fighting games. I don't like the genre. But I'm going to sit here. I'm going to wait it out. We'll see what happens. Maybe we'll get to that moment and I'll be able to drive that home. I'm going to grab the popcorn. I'm going to go up. I'm going to take a break. And then hopefully when I come back, we transition to something different. Okay. So now you've got that lead in. You've got that trust that you've built up with the community. You've got that conditioning that you've built up with the community to say that there's always something more to an individual than just what you see on the surface.
Right.
How do we continue to see people as more than just what's being displayed, what's being streamed, and look beyond the world of the streamer into the existence of the community? To the development of conversation. How do we build that?
In my opinion, it's what Mixer was doing, and they don't do over here unless you're a partner, which is co-streams. To kind of see the interaction between the people, the friendship between the people. It is what they just don't do that here. You have to go above and beyond to like what we're doing here. I don't think it's not necessarily above and beyond, but I think we would benefit more if this was a co-stream similar to Mixer.
Yeah.
I think that's the answer, and Twitch just refuses to do it.
Well, so
yeah,
I will say that co-streaming is not without its challenges. As a community gets larger and you have like 30, 50 people, if I've got a command that's the same as yours or different or whatever, like a person hits Discord, that was different topic, but that was a fiasco. Like the semantics and the logistics behind co-streaming, it was cool to have two streams within one window. That was amazing. but like having an override or some sort of thing, a function where it's like, no, you just shut down your bot and I'm just going to run mine. Like, how do you make that work? Like, that was what was really, really hard about Mixer. But I do love what you're talking about, because I think that it takes planning and development and extra effort in order to build these moments.
Right. Like me and OGTW Strange, it did take a lot of effort, but what we did with our bot, we pretty much just synced them up. Like, here go, like when you do exclamation Discord, hey, make sure you put my link in there so both of them say it, you know. Now when you know, so everybody, yeah, it takes a lot of work. I understand that, but is that little bit of extra work worth that? I think it's worth it.
Well, yeah.
I'm fidgety. I'm sorry.
I'm good.
But I think it's worth it. But you know, unless there's another suggestion, and that other suggestion is, I'm not a fan of stream teams, because again, there's always somebody that wants to be the boss, or there's someone that feels like they've been slighted, or they just don't want to work with you the way that you want them to be worked with. But that's the other option in making everybody's stuff look the same, you know. So like Equinox, I think they're a great example of that. I don't know if you heard of that gaming team or not.
I have
but
not.
Obviously they primarily play fighting games, and a lot of their overlays and their layouts, they all look alike. So then when you're like, yo, I want to get your shirt, I want to go to your website, boom, all of them are there already, and you're like, oh, then they must be like this person. But it's not a stream team. A stream team, again, I don't like the way stream teams are defined right now. And again, we're still in its it can change tomorrow for all I know. But a lot of times stream teams, they try to figure out how to benefit off of each other, not that they are an actual community.
Right.
If you know, so
Well,
a gaming team that has this, like, hey, we all support Equinox. We got Equinox arcade sticks. We got Equinox jerseys. If a particular person that's streaming on Equinox has an event, we all come over there and support it. We're not going to be buttholes and stream at the same time an event that's very similar. So just so we can get some views and a couple follows off of that event, we're solely going to support this one person. I think that's another part of the answer. And just in general, I think we should just kind of, I don't want to say do away with the stream team, but just redefine what a stream team is, you know?
Well, and I think you end up with some blurred lines no matter what, because, you know, the stream team, you have this instance where you shouldn't be asking or demanding that a person take down whatever their current structure is, whatever their timing is, whatever their schedule is, in order to accommodate to other people, because they might have a job and this might be their only day. Like, this might be their only day that they can stream.
I mean, yeah, that's fair.
And so it can get a little tough there, but at the same time, I agree with you that it shouldn't be a support for support structure. It should be a recognition of community. And so you have this, it's a really tight balance to walk. I'm just gonna say that, like, no matter what you do with the stream team, you're always gonna get someone who's gonna use it to the advantage, like you had talked about. That, hey, I want to be the next Ninja. I want to be the next person. I want to be the next, you know, super great big fiasco, popular viral hit, you know, whatever. Like, you're gonna have that. Someone's got that in their brain somewhere, stacked away, hidden, waiting for the moment to pounce, and they're going to view that as this support for support structure, and there's no way to get rid of it. You're always going to end up getting one of those, I'll call it a rat on the ship, that is going to try and sink it. You know, they're going to spread some stuff around, and it's unfortunate, but it comes with the territory of sailing on open water. You don't know where you're headed. You've got no direction, and this is a completely uncharted universe. And so you're going to get a rat on the ship occasionally. And that just, you've got to find ways to keep yourself defended, but expect that it's going to happen.
Right. I don't disagree with that either. But I think there's a difference between I got to do this because, you know, this is my only time to stream versus just being a straight out dickhead, you know? In addition to that, it's like, it was what I was saying earlier, you're naturally going to get, if you're in that community, you're naturally going to get people to come over there and visit you. You know, I'm pretty sure just doing this right here, I'm pretty sure I got 1 or 2 follows. For me, it's not about the follows. It's about something totally different. But I'm here. I'm communicating with you.
Right.
It's naturally going to happen. It's naturally going to happen that if someone has a very similar style of playing Terraria or playing Call of Duty or Apex, you're naturally going to blend. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
It's just people being impatient. We have to create a culture where people just aren't impatient. Like like me and you. We were like, oh, I thought I followed. We followed each other on Mixer, but we totally forgot over here. It's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we're not mad at each other. It was going to happen over time eventually anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, oh, okay. But but to your point to the rat, there's always a rat. I guess we have to be mindful and be more protective of our heart to make sure those rats don't get in. And as soon as the rat gets in on the ship, we got to figure out a way to throw it off without getting rabies,
Right. And I think that comes with the territory of stream teams. That I think that stream teams have a purpose, but most of the successful stream teams and most of the teams that exist in esports and whatever were built from the community and not with the intention of being a stream team. They just happened all of a sudden, and it's like I didn't do this, but it's occurring. How did we get here? And you're like, maybe we got something we got to do here. I didn't realize, but maybe there's something we should be doing in order to give people a sense of home and belonging with a title or a name or an organization that says we stand for this, as you said, the culture of identity that has been created and fostered, nurtured, and built into a program out of just raw possibility.
You're yelling. I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
So repeat that last part.
No,
my 4-year-old up there going, dude, I went into dad mode for a second. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I was talking about that. We have these opportunities that have been created naturally. They just organically have occurred. That individuals and communities have come together to say, you know what, maybe we should make something of this and give this a sense of community, give this a home, give this a title, give this a roof over our head to say this is Equinox. We didn't intend for it to be Equinox. We're all a bunch of fighters that have been constantly fighting against each other and playing with each other and hanging out, and we mesh, and we're all the same people. Why don't we just do something and say, no, we are Equinox.
Right. It's just very hard to figure out what someone's intent is.
Absolutely.
It might just be because I had a bad stream team experience. It's not against the person that I was rocking with or anything like that, but when I was rocking with them, it was all about them. When we have meetings, they'd be like, "Well, I'm gonna leave my counterpart here. You guys talk amongst yourselves, and I got stuff to do. I'm busy." And it was like, "Whoa, hey, hold on." And then it turned into, "Ooh, who could mod for me? Oh, I didn't see you in my channel." And that's shoot. I don't even know if you would call that I don't know what to even call that. It's more
a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
It's a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
Admittedly, a lot of teams and a lot of support structures, they don't have the title, but it's a pyramid scheme. At the end of the day, I will bring you to the top if you support me getting there. And so you have one block at the top, 4 underneath, 8 underneath that, and it cascades down until you have this structure of a pyramid, and some person is reaping all of the sun at the top of the structure.
Yeah. You described that greatly. I didn't even think about it like that. Yes. That's what I don't like about stream teams. Boom. So let me not say I don't like stream teams. I don't like that facet of stream teams that are there.
A lot of unfortunately, because of the viewpoint that I need to be successful, and the only way that I can get successful is if I can get people bought in just enough that I'm there, I'm supportive, and they say, well, hey, he's been continually supporting me and sharing that with me, so I'm just going to send all my traffic that direction. And if you can get 4 people to do that and then 8 people under them to do that, then you get that. It's never... I always say, never expect anything in return. I should walk over to MDSoul's place, your residence, your community, and say, I don't expect him to ever stop back, ever. It is one thing if you say, I'm going to do something because I care about you, and then you continue to not do it. That's a different conversation. Like, hey, I want to stop over. We're going to raid you tonight, and then you don't, whatever. Now you're talking about a person's word and the value of that word. That's a different
Mm-hmm.
conversation. But
Mm-hmm.
if I bring all my people over and we raid you, and I don't even care if it's 1,000 people, I don't expect anything from back from that. I don't expect
Right.
subs.
Yeah.
I don't expect follows or hosts or raids or anything. That is the purpose and the delivery of love and inspiration and motivation to say,
Yes.
we are behind you. We support you
Yes.
because we believe in what you're doing.
Yes.
And again, that goes
That,
back to that growth mindset versus fixed mindsets, that it is the message, the culture that you have created. And that's what I believe our future needs to have, is we need to have these homes, these communities, these environments where people look for love. They look for
right.
what is possible in this
Right.
situation and asking the
Well,
right
you know,
question.
I think that brings up another thing also, and it brings you. Maybe I said it in my head, but it brings in maturity. You know, I'm 35 years old. I have a family. I have a wife. You know, and I have a career for crying. I have a separate career from this. So I'm not banking on streaming. But when you have I don't want to throw around the word kids too loosely. But when you have a bunch of kids that are streaming and they're trying to find the easy way out of life, you
Yeah.
tend to get what we're discussing here.
Yep.
Or someone that doesn't have anything else to live for but video games and streaming, you get this weird I guess that's the word you can use. You get some weird personalities in there that aren't necessarily for the community that you're trying to build. So a dude that's 21 that just started college or getting ready to graduate from college is going to have a completely different mindset than a guy like yourself or myself that's like, yo, we lived a little bit of life. I've enjoyed my life, and that's not important to me. Don't focus on the small things. We got to focus on the vision, not the steps that we're taking to fulfill the vision. You know what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah, but I always say that even when I got into a job, I got into retail sales because I ran a business for 10 years. I got into retail
Yeah.
sales, and
Yeah.
I told him I don't have time to screw around. I don't have time for jokes or games or any of that shit. We're gonna
Right.
play this like it's a professional situation, or we're not. You can tell me that right now. That's
Yeah.
all I ask, is that
Yeah.
you just be tell me exactly like it is. And that's all. I mean, we both deserve that. So I'm going to teach you
Yeah.
or treat you the exact same way that I would expect that you treat me in that situation, that we can just have a conversation. And if you don't like me, you don't like me. I don't care. But I'm going to work.
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. And I think if we all kind of have that, create that culture for our communities in stream teams or gaming teams or whatever thing that starts with something and ends in team, I think we could all benefit them. We gotta teach and groom these younger guys out there, and a lot of times we don't want to take the time out to teach and groom. I wrote a paper on that for one of my classes a long time ago about the baby boom generation and how they treat the Gen X, and then why the millennial generation is acting the way it's acting right now. And I think it's up to us, this Zennial millennial generation, to say to take charge and say we're not doing it that way anymore, and we're going to continue to groom this next group of people so they won't be assholes and dickheads. You know,
Right.
we got to create a better future for generations to come. And sorry, baby boom guys, you did a horrible job. You know, so it's let go, for crying out loud. Not saying Jeff Bezos is, well, granted, he kind of stepped down, but he doesn't understand the millennial generation. He's the Gen X baby boom generation, so he can't help us.
Yep.
So we need a Gen Xer or a Zennial to help this for a product like this. That's why with Microsoft, I never understood why they didn't give it to Spencer. He understood everything, but they had, I don't know if you knew the background on that, but the business side of Microsoft was managing Mixer instead of the gaming side and Xbox stuff, man, and that's why it failed. You know, there's a bunch of old men, ooh, this is really fun. Oh, I love this. And then they're like, oh, I don't get this. This is one of why,
Right.
oh, it's not making us money. And no, video games and gamers were finicky, and you have to coddle us and say, oh, and build community. That's why we talk about community and not just look at it as how much money can you make me. That's why
Right.
Zoom failed. because Zoom, no different than iTunes and iPods. The iTunes has a community. Apple has an Apple community. Where Zoom, they were like, nope, this is what it is. This isn't why it exists. You know,
Right.
I
Well,
guess
and
it brings it full circle.
I
Finding out what your why is,
Yep.
building a culture around your why, and you end up being successful. I think that might be the answer right there.
Well, and I think the challenge is that's kind of where we're at with Twitch and what we can do in the future is like a lot of the issue is that they're in it for the money, they're in it for whatever. They don't have a program or people in place to really set the bar, set the example. And something that we kind of touched on is that, you know, the communities make the platform, not the platform makes the communities. They have a responsibility to help produce and make sure that they have a platform to deliver on. But Twitch is in a really weird spot right now because some of the communities that do have better intentions are starting to thrive a little bit. But the old guard, as it were, is all predominantly people with experience in a category and an existence that succeeded around the flare of the dramatic, that succeeded around moments of negativity. You know, Dr. Disrespect and Ninja and a lot of communities that exist that are bigger have kind of a negative air around them. This like standoffish, like I can't get in unless I just, you know, unless
you were there day one.
Yeah, like I can't get into this world. And so it's exclusive, and exclusion can be good for money. It really can. I mean, look at, like you said, Apple created their own exclusivity of product availability, and that drove their business. And so exclusivity can be beneficial. And you see that sometimes in streams too, that sometimes not engaging with chat can be more productive than engaging with their chat, which is weird. It's a really weird place to be.
A guy that's like that, a guy that's like that, that's not Ninja, that does a good job of creating community is a guy named Maximilian Dude. He's just a variety fighting game guy. He's very popular within the fighting game community. He has a lot of say, but how he's conditioned his community is treating it more like a podcast, and then it's very easy to jump into that community because there's discussion about what's going on versus being self-centered and making it to be about him.
Right.
Like compared to Ninja, it's hard to get into his community because it's the Ninja show, not a community show that just so happens to have Ninja there.
Right.
You know.
Right.
You know, he gets on there, he talks to his friend, he gets upset about why people are doing stuff to him and why people are stream sniping and you suck. Whereas Maximilian Dude is like, oh, I played this guy before. Let's talk about it. Hey, this move right here, it's called blah, blah, blah. So there's an element of teaching in there too.
Right.
And there's a history lesson in there. Hey, I remember this video game back in the day, looks to the chat. Oh, do you guys remember that too? He might not answer everybody. He might not answer every single question.
Right.
But he has a format that's inclusive and it doesn't push you out, you know? I think that's the direction in general we should kind of go in. To your point, but again, his why is different. You know, he's about fighting games versus being a competitive. I think that's it. Ninja is a competitive gamer, while another person is just, I enjoy the content. I just want to be a part of the community that's bigger than me and not just mine. You know,
but I think. So I still think that boils down to the person. I think an individual can be competitive and open to the idea that someone might know more than them, that they could teach them something, and not be standoffish. Because again, it goes back to like, if I walk into the conversation and I say, you know what, like let's play Apex sometime, and I say, well, you know, you're a total noob, and you don't know anything about Apex. There's no possible way that you could destroy me. Like, there's a difference between arrogance and confidence. I'm pretty good at Apex. You know, like I hold my own in a combat situation. I know a lot about the game. I've been playing since season 0. I've been around the block. Versus like, listen, man, you just started playing this game. Like, yeah, right, you're gonna take me on in a 1v1. There's a difference to that piece that says that I'm open to possibility. Right. But that I'm confident in my ability.
Are we really changing the culture of our streaming communities then? Or are we changing the culture of the gaming community? Because one thing that I noticed for sure, if you're playing an FPS, you're going to get shot upon. I'm going to be proper about it. You're going to get shot upon, whereas when you're playing something like the speedrunning community with Grand Pooh Bear and Barb and stuff like that, they're really inclusive, and they're not just tearing you down. Same thing in the fighting game community. There's some tear down, but it's not like I'm gonna rip you up. You'll go into a lobby of a fighting game community and you'll see someone that's super duper high ranked, and then you'll see a beginner, and everybody's like, hey, I'm gonna beat you up, but understand that you're a beginner. Whereas Apex, effing randoms. Oh, I hate randoms. Why do I have to get around this? Oh, look at his level. Screw him. Oh, I'm gonna rage out of this game and stuff like that. So should we be fixing the game community itself, or should we continue to build the culture of the stream?
I think that that's twofold. I think that streaming communities have a possible responsibility to affect gaming communities.
Okay.
Because streaming communities have now become a standard within gaming communities, right?
Okay.
So like a lot of people who want to be part of a game, like let's say, I don't know, I want to be part of the Terraria community, right? Like if I want to build up, if I want to go to understand, like the first place I'm going to go to is YouTube, which is established stream communities or established content communities, or Twitch, and start to interact and engage. I want to know more. I need to go to someone who's experienced, a teacher, an expert, a resident person who understands and has time invested within that category. There's no different from school. Like I don't open up a math book and start. I mean, you can, but that's special categories. But like, you don't open up a math book and start to understand theoretical physics when you just got out of base calculus. You don't bridge that world. You go to someone who's a doctor or a master within the area.
Right.
So I think that's that bridge is that we as creators, we as communities hold the key to our own future, to the own future of gaming as a whole, gaming communities as a whole, that we rather can stand to fight for what we want to achieve, or we can simply stand quiet as the world collapses around us, in the similar statement or way that you've stated that, the baby boomer generation was a laissez-faire, hands-off, like you just have to learn for yourself. You just have to fight for yourself. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but the time was simpler. You're talking about a different category. And now everything's a lot more complex. And so now we need education, we need guidance, we need direction so that we can make clear and evident choices towards the possible future. So
absolutely.
I think that it's on us. I think that it's on us going forward, and the only way that we can affect Twitch is by standing to make an impact with the choice of growth, with the choice of light, with the choice of inclusion and posterity for the future, and hold it on ourselves and say, you know what, this is my shit, I'm going to own it. I'm not going to wipe it up, or I'm going to wipe it up, but that choice has consequences either way, good or bad.
Yes, absolutely, man. Yes. Yeah, the ball's in our court to create culture for our communities and making sure that it meets the intent and not sway left or right.
Yep. Go ahead. I don't know if you have another thought on it.
No, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm like, typically there's, it's not too many people. Well, there's people out there, but there's not too many people that I'm just like, no, what you're saying is right. It's like, yeah, you're pretty much saying a lot of the same stuff that I've been saying since Mixer, since I started streaming in 2019, and I'm just glad there's other people that are thinking like that and just trying to move forward. Not in a sense of I'm trying to make money, or your community isn't big enough. We're all trying to meet the same destination.
Yep.
The race is not won by the strong or the swift, but by those who endure to the end. And we're trying to get to the same place. I just might get there first. You might get there second. Who knows? You might get there. Who knows the order of our footsteps? But we all have pretty much very similar goals and where we're trying to go. You just got to understand somebody's why. And just because my why looks different than your why doesn't mean we don't have the same milestones.
Yep. No, I agree with that. The inspiration or the motivation behind the person changes typically literally person to person. A lot of our stories can have similarities, but every unique
Yeah.
story is just that. It is unique. And so, while a person can understand pain or loss or misery, depression, we know what that human attachment looks like to those emotions. We know what it looks like to feel, we know what it feels like to feel like we're down and out. We can't get up on the last leg of the race, that we've got no support. We know what that loss, that detachment feels like. But I don't know how you got there, the why behind what got you to that place in time. And so
Yes.
I think as soon as we start seeing that stories are unique but similar, that we can bridge those worlds between having to say, no, I'm different though. I'm different. Well, of course you are different, but we both feel pain. We both feel happiness.
Yes.
We both feel elation and excitement and joy and love. And that has never changed for thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years. Nothing is new there. We know
Yes, sir.
that history. And
Yes,
so
sir.
I think that, looking forward, this future holds really, really well in the world of emotion, in the world of content creation, because I think that we're doing good things in this past year that I have seen, that we're starting to own a little bit more of that accountability behind who we are and what we've done. And I'm excited for the future in the world of creation, excited for the future in the world of streaming and gaming communities.
Yes, absolutely. Well, and I understand it feels like we're winding down just a tad. But let me ask you this before we start rolling out or whatever.
Yeah.
I know you watched Harris Heller. Everybody knows Harris Heller, Alpha Gaming, right?
I've seen it, but I don't enjoy much or partake.
Yeah. Okay. So I watch him from time to time, and one of the things that he's mentioned is that, and sometimes he hits the nail on the head, and sometimes he predicted the end of Mixer. He was the end came early, but he predicted, like, hey, Mixer's just not going to exist. It's not going to be able to compete. But he's also now saying that Twitch is going to eventually come to an end, and Twitch is a platform that does things out of spite. It will spite its own nose in some cases. Even though the future is bright, I think the future is bright for a platform like Twitch. Do you believe that this is something that's going to endure the test of time? Or do you foresee us possibly saying, hey, I'm streaming on YouTube, hey, I'm streaming on Facebook, or for that matter, whatever future platform there may be? Fox, ABC, NBC, they had their low points and their down points, but they still exist. Granted, Fox is owned by Disney, but Fox in itself still exists. Do you think Twitch may turn into something that doesn't exist anymore, and we're gonna sit here and fail staying here?
I do not agree. I don't believe Twitch is too big to fail. So that's just what TBG Dice said. I think that there's a possibility that they could. Looking at potential growth, Twitch is in a really, really strong point, right? They hold a large predominance of the market share. That's undeniable, right? Like the potential there is possible, but I think it hinges on the literal moments that communities are creating. If Twitch starts to take action for the purpose of betterment of the platform, I believe the longevity of the platform persists and exists. But if Twitch continues to have a hands-off mentality, I think you have the same issue that you talked about, is that you have the baby boomer generation trying to help millennials or zillennials or whatever, however the Z generation. I think that hands-off mentality of you guys do whatever, we're sorry, we don't want to, we just give us money, that's all we want is just give us money. I think that you stand to fail, because again, there's no why behind the platform. It is just, we are here in an existence to skim cash off of all the creators that exist out there. And there's something I talk about a lot, and a lot of people, I guess, are surprised by it, but if you wanted to support a creator, supporting them directly is more beneficial than necessarily subbing. And again, going to like
Yeah, yeah,
subscriptions and things like that, they have value because then there's a tie and loyalty to the channel and loyalty to the community. You get benefits for it and you reap the direct rewards of that sub. So again,
yeah.
there's some finicky talking points as to why subs are still important. But the direct involvement is, you know, you can literally take royalty tax off the top of an individual sub count and say, hey, Twitch already cut it in half, and then we're going to tax that another 30%. Or you can take that off the original value of, let's say, 97% because of conversion rates or whatever.
Yeah.
You can take the 30% royalty tax off of that, and the creator might walk away from, you know, the conversation with 70 cents on a dollar, you know,
Right.
okay.
Right.
Or they walk away with 30% over 44 cents or, you know, whatever. And now you're down to, okay, now a creator's making 28 cents and they're walking out of the door and saying, you know what, maybe I can live off of this.
Mm-hmm.
You have to worry about at what point do we sustain Twitch and at what point do we sustain the creator. But I think depending on the revolution of how it sustains the creator and the focusing powers of having a community support the individual and what the community is creating, how to support the
Yes.
community and not the platform, Twitch will be
Yes.
forced to recognize that communities, as you have stated, are the centric focus of our success. And if we do not listen to what a community does for us, we will die. We'll rot away and
Yes.
we will no longer exist. So at what point
Absolutely.
does the community turn and say, you know what, we have to do something more in order to hold on to these people, or we're going to walk away? And I do not think that the people that exist up at the top of the food chain, CEOs, market heads, whatever, I don't think that they have the wherewithal or the foresight to see beyond that dollar bill that's in front of them. I don't think that they do.
Yeah.
Most big company heads don't. They look to themselves in the exact same way that streamers themselves look to themselves. What can I do to succeed? What can I do to be ninja? What can I do to earn a 6-figure paycheck? Well, I'll just take more from the creators.
Yeah.
I'll put more into ads. We'll come up with a new device that gives us more money. We'll come up with bits. We'll come up with this. We'll come up with, you know, Twitch song channels or whatever. And then if you want more songs, we're going to earn the rights to that, but you've got to pay for that monthly. One more thing
Right.
after one more thing after one more thing to continue to slice just a little bit out of the pocket of every person in order to make more money. And so I think that if they focus on that, it's there. And so where I think YouTube succeeds is that the focus is on offline. A lot of times, you know, you can be live on YouTube, but YouTube was built off of the platform of success that you post a video
Right.
and then people will talk to you or not talk to you. And so if people want to engage with the creator, they would have to do so through Discord. They would have to do so through the comments. So you're literally building the conversation. There's no other way. It's not, I mean, like, you can lurk and you can enjoy something, or you can feel like you want to be a part of it and become a part of it, become a part of the community by engaging and actively being involved. And so YouTube succeeded in that way by focusing on what can I do to engage or interact, whereas Twitch is we're just here to give people a video service.
Yeah. That's a huge difference. Yeah, you're absolutely right, brother. I
But
don't disagree.
I would agree that, you know, streaming can become a full-time career, but it's like becoming a pro athlete. You have to be good at it. You have to be engaging. You have to have buy-in, and you can be like a AA player, right? Like you can get into leagues, you can get into something and it earns you a paycheck enough that you can sustain yourself, but you're not,
Right.
I don't know.
It's just have a middle class. I think that's the problem with just community and why people are just so bloodthirsty out here and trying to get on.
You
If
guys
they
said
could
the same
figure
thing.
out how to if people in general can figure out how to have a middle class of streamer, then we can win, because it's like you have the 1%, then you have that next group of people, and then nothing else.
Right.
You know, and there, what's the in between there? You know.
Well, and I think that you see a lot of that. I mean, we've talked about it before, like in reviewing or talking about people's status and where they are, because a lot of us feel like, oh, I've only got 5 viewers, like I'm worthless. Like you're at 5 viewers, you're in like the top 4% of all Twitch. Like
Yeah.
most of those people that exist out there are streaming to 0 or 1 person. Like the fact that you're streaming to 5 is an accomplishment. And people undervalue themselves so much because that's what they see, because I don't have 40,000 views. I don't have 50,000 or 10,000 or 1. And I would agree with you that getting from certain plateaus, just like in weightlifting, you know, you can hit a mark and you can stream at it and stream at it and stream at it and stream at it, and you're never pushing up. And then finally, just finally, there's a breakthrough, and I go from 25 pounds to 30 pounds, and then from 30 to 40 and 40 to 60. There's that gap there.
Yeah.
But I think streaming's no different than that. That it just takes time.
Yeah.
That through determination and perseverance, you can persist and achieve the goal that you wish to achieve, as long as you do not destroy yourself in the process.
Right. We're a microwave society. You can't bake a cake in the microwave. You got to stick it in the oven.
Well, I mean, you can, but
I mean, but you know, like some people, like if I'm trying to make a cake for 100 people, that's gonna, you know, it's gonna take some time. But if you're just making it for yourself, a group of 5, yeah, you can turn that around. Like for example, you know, I already had something established, so I was able to put my cake in the microwave coming over here to Twitch from Mixer.
Yep.
I know it take time to get to break that glass ceiling. Like I hit 50 once or twice, but it's gonna take time to have a 50 average, and then the next to get to 60 to 70, that's gonna take just as much time.
Yep.
And so and as long as people are willing to understand, and that's part of the process, I think it'd be okay. And yes, there's always that one guy, he just has this amazing stream, or he has some strike of luck that's just amazing. Of course there is, but that doesn't happen to everybody.
Right.
It is. Yes.
Right. No, I agree with that. I would agree with that wholeheartedly, that, you know, you can have right place, right time. Now, granted, it's not always right place, right time. We are part of that. You know, the relationships that we create, like, I don't know, someone out there could literally be watching my conversation, and because of a level of skill, because of my hard work, because of planning and execution, words or your words or whatever put us in the place to succeed, right? And so it's not only right place, right time, but that is a factor in the conversation. Your skill, your work ethic, your professionalism, everything, that all plays into that success story. Right. It is not just, I win the lottery, like Orc said, but to go viral, that's pretty much like the lottery.
Yeah. You see that a lot more specifically with YouTubers, and I guess if you have me again, that's a story for another day. But they're flat. They're doing this for about a year or two, then boom, it just skyrockets, and they finally fit into the algorithm after years of working at it. Same thing with Twitch. You know, you're flat, then boom, you get featured for whatever the reason, or someone sees a clip and you just pick up. You know, you just got to be patient and wait your turn.
Yep, and I think it's that persistence, and a lot of people lose sight. They lose sight of who they are, what they are, because they think that what they're doing isn't functional, what they're doing isn't working. And there are some, obviously, you can sit there and say, well, I'm streaming Amiga games. You're probably not going to capture an audience for that. That's just the reality of it. You're probably not going to see a whole lot of people, because those games are, admittedly, they're dead and gone. I mean, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a place for retro gaming. But that's knowing your market and saying, okay, well, I'm going to stream within the retro category and not playing the individual game itself, because no one's going to freaking find me.
Yes.
There's some choices you can make there, but mostly, it's time and persistence and not forgetting who you are. And so I don't know. I'm excited at the potential of Twitch to roundabout answer your question. I think that long term we will succeed as long as the people who are behind it, the communities who are behind making Twitch the platform for gaming communities to grow, have that right mindset, entering in and knowing that when I hit that button and I go live, you hit that button, you go live, or whoever is out there hits that button. They're doing it with the right intentions, the right reason why, as you've said so many times today, and not with the hope of something more.
Absolutely.
Cool. So, I mean, at this point, normally what I do is we talk for a while, go through my list of questions that I write down, and then I like to ask rather you or anyone that's out there if you have any questions for me or for MD CJ on any subject. It could be silly, like what's your favorite flavor of ice cream, or whatever it is. I'd love to open the floor up, and then we'll end up closing out on the day. And I mean, I had a blast, CJ. I just want to thank you, of course, for your time. This is a really
Thank you for having me, man. It's been an honor, man.
no, it's our
Thank you for
pleasure.
even thinking about me, man.
Ab-
I thank you.
Absolutely. I can't remember who it was that brought it up. It might have been Umbra Nova. I don't remember. Someone brought you up in the conversation and was like, I would really love to see MDSoul show up on the show. And I was like, deal. Like, I don't know who they are, but typically I go through the first couple comments and I try and engage. And if someone doesn't answer back, I move on to the next person, just obvious
Right, yeah.
stuff. Like, okay, they don't care about me, so I'm just going to keep going. But then
Right.
I shut down because like I can only handle so much. Like I put a couple things on my calendar, I book out like 2 months, and then I'm like, all right, all the conversations are closed for now. I can't do all this. So
Yeah.
but I'll end up posting up something, and I'm gonna do the same thing like I've been doing. But we started this back on Mixer, and
Yeah. Okay.
I
Okay.
loved it. We had Psycho Plays on here and Migos Moo and
I
a whole
like
bunch of people.
Psycho. That's the homie.
So
Yeah.
Psycho had some really good stuff on branding. How to
Oh, okay. Yeah.
get into branding and what that world was like, and how he started from
Hmm.
like $5 is expensive, and like for someone to sit there and sub to the channel, like that's a gift, because like that's a
Yeah.
meal
It
for my
is.
family.
Yeah.
So like him talking about that, like it brought a whole lot of perspective to what a person's walk of life is and how they get to where they are, and like he's doing great work. He really is doing great work.
Amazing content creator. Yeah. I don't disagree with that.
I think I'm gonna quit now. To be honest, I've been streaming for a couple years. Not enjoying every time I click that go live. I've come over with depression. Sure, I made an affiliate, but I never turned it on, nor do I plan to. I streamed because it was fun, not for money. Now it's no longer fun for me. I mean, if it's hurting
If it's
you,
not fun, don't do it.
yeah, if it's hurting you or your position, your mental state, I definitely would not recommend it. I would not recommend being in the position to force yourself to do something. I wouldn't throw away everything, because there's still value, and you still have your attachment to your communities, right? Like you still have outreach within the communities you've been a part of, the communities that you've helped to represent or helped to build, and those relationships still exist. But if any interaction at all across the board is not fun, then I would say avoid it. If it's hurting you, don't do it.
I don't disagree with that statement. Um, I'll use the example of my cousin. My cousin, she first off, my cousin, she's on the TV show The Politician, Ronnie Jones, and she played basketball, but her heart wasn't in basketball in college. Her heart was into acting. Her heart was into, for that, soccer, and she would get killer migraines, and it was detrimental to her health. Almost as soon as she stopped playing basketball, invested her in time in acting and being creative, she just took off, man.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with my brother. My brother, he's a model. I mean, you guys probably seen him before. He's on the thing with Guess, Nike, you name it, and he had anxiety attacks in college. It's and then now that he's out in LA and able to be creative and be himself, he's able to move forward in a way that he's never been able to move forward in, and he's enjoying himself. So don't do something that you don't enjoy. Streaming isn't for everybody. Sometimes it's good to just be a viewer. It's okay to be a viewer.
Yep.
Some days I'm like, you know what? For my mental health, I'm not going to stream. And you know what? I'm going to be a viewer today. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
At least I don't think so.
I would agree. I don't think that there's anything wrong with being that. And I always tell people, if I'm there, you're going to know that I'm there. You're going to know that I'm there with the intent to be active, to be engaged, to be, a part of the conversation. Because I think that that's important. It's important to, remove all the other nonsense that exists that bombards us, and just go back to the grassroots of having a conversation with a person to have a conversation, and to want to get to know them, want to understand where they are, and want to know the state of their health. Like, okay, you're doing well, but like, really, what's going on with you? Tell me about, how's the job? How's the life? How's the family? I want to hear it because I care. Not because I'm just trying to make face and save face. Like, I genuinely have investment in you as a person. How can we maintain that? And so I agree with you. Being a viewer is important. So I know Nim had asked, what's your favorite Smash tune?
Smash tune, like Super Smash Brothers? Or
I would assume, yeah.
I'm a Kirby and Luigi fan.
Okay,
I don't know why, but I thoroughly enjoy Kirby, and I do have an amiibo collection. I think, well, I don't even know how many amiibo. I stopped counting a while ago, but yeah, I'm definitely a Kirby or a Luigi fan. They're very simple, and they're classic characters. I hate Mario. I won't say hate. Let me rephrase that. I don't like to use Mario because Mario's a jerk. If you really think about who Mario is, he quickly gets jealous of his brother. I don't know if you've seen the ending of Mario Tennis. Mario freaking stomps on Luigi's foot when Luigi wins. He's going around busting the bricks. The bricks are freaking people from the Princess Kingdom. It's like, what? You're killing the people. They turn in the bricks. You're killing the people. Koopa's minding his own business. He's up there like, yo, this is my kingdom now. And freaking Mario is freaking obsessed with Princess Peach. He is whipped. I'm not a fan of but Luigi, he's cool, and Kirby's cool. So yeah, that's where I stand.
So Luigi's just trying to support his family in their decisions.
Yeah, that's all he is. I mean, he's capturing ghosts. Mario is missing. Luigi went to go find him. If Luigi was missing, Mario wouldn't go look for him. Mario's a jerk. Just go back and look at Mario at its purest. I mean, not only did he have a relationship with Princess Peach, Pauline, he had and Daisy, and then Luigi had to get Mario sloppy leftovers.
Wow.
Now Luigi and Daisy, like, come on, Mario, you're a jerk, man.
All right. So I need to back off Mario. Okay, all right. And then, so what's this about? How you sleep at night knowing that your distasteful, unmitigated backstabbing ranking of the cinematic masterpiece that is Pocahontas as a D-tier film? What is this?
All right. This goes to the TBG from my community, and I do a tier list, right? And I did a tier list of Disney movies. Pocahontas, it's just not. It's not a slapper for me. Pocahontas is they didn't even try. They made a fictional story off of something that was completely negative. John Smith, the real John Smith, he was talking about his excursions over there to the New World. Yep. He was telling the stories, and he was saying, "Oh, all the natives over there, they're in love with me," which wasn't true.
Right.
And then also Pocahontas was 13 years old.
Oh, yay!
And then Pocahontas died at an early age, I think from tuberculosis. And over here in this movie, they're showing John Smith as this noble dude and trying to help Pocahontas, and Pocahontas is trying to say, no, I'm not a fan of that.
I mean, we know the history behind most of the quote unquote conquistadors. I mean, literally translates to conqueror in multiple languages.
Right.
That was a whole fiasco of history. We don't, it's not a bright part of human history at all in any facet. Everywhere we pretty much went in that aspect, it just created really bad history. So
if we're gonna cancel anything, we're gonna cancel Pocahontas.
So then, what's the S tier Disney movie? While we're on it, when we went to D tier, what's S tier?
S tier is things like Aladdin,
okay,
The Lion King. If you want to start bringing in some of the CG stuff, Toy Story, I would consider those S tier movies. 101 Dalmatians maybe A, but Pocahontas can't be anywhere near. Atlantis is bigger. Rescuers Down Under is a better movie than Pocahontas. The Mighty Ducks, that's a live action, yes, absolutely. But Pocahontas is a hard no for me.
Okay, so if we only, there's a question real quick. What's the Mighty Ducks rank?
I would say Mighty Ducks is an A. And the reason why the Mighty Ducks is an A, because they have all these unorthodox moves and illegal moves that you're not allowed to do in hockey. And I'm just like, come on, man, stop it. This rag to riches. I'm doing this for, I'm helping kids because I got a hidden agenda, and now I'm coming back to I don't like those type of movies. But was it a good movie overall? And was there nostalgia there? Yeah. So it's not quite an S. I would give it an A. I give it an A.
All right, I can feel that. I mean, there's some back underhanded stuff going on that makes it not worthy of a full title. Okay, all right.
Right, like Little Giants, I would put over Mighty Ducks. You know.
Okay.
Little Giants makes a little bit more sense. You know.
Okay.
I would
so
say that.
More of the adult grading, like not just the inspirational, motivational, young kids movie concept, but like what exactly is happening on the back end? You go back and revisit the film and you're looking at those adult issues like, okay, this is a little messed up. This is actually like a little messed up. Okay. All right. All right. I feel it. So if we're looking at Disney movies, then we have to do the counterpoint. If you're simply looking on the basis and grading of musical or theatrical ability, what Disney movie is now an S?
Little Mermaid, hands down.
Okay.
No. First off, I love the Little Mermaid. It got an S on my list. I was a pervy little kid, and every time I watched Little Mermaid, I was hoping one of the seashells fell off. But besides that, you know the songs. You know just about all the words to that. And same thing with The Lion King. Everybody look left, everybody look right. Everybody knows those songs, and they're embedded deep down into your heart. And Disney movies, they just don't do that anymore.
They don't. They really don't.
Toy Story, the first Toy Story did. It wasn't a musical, but everybody knows You Got a Friend in Me.
Yeah.
Everybody knows that song. I love it. Beauty and the Beast, be our guest, be our guest. They don't do that anymore, and I'm really, really disappointed.
So
101 Dalmatians, does the same thing. But go ahead.
Would you say then that the necessity for Disney to really succeed in a day and age where we have an attachment, the community, an attachment to a movie, is to bring it back to actual musical or theatrical Broadway actors, actresses to act out the role in order to create that level of attachment? Because I cannot tell you one song, even though I've seen almost every single Disney movie as of late, I cannot tell you one song that has existed past maybe Mulan.
Right. I think there's several things. All right. Dang. I hate that you asked me that question because I get winded. So the very first thing part of that is that I think it was Aladdin, when they moved away from just having regular people and getting celebrities. Aladdin bring in Robin Williams, we all know about that. And then from there, they tried to create that same template of here's a celebrity and here's the movie. They're trying to get the cash grab off the celebrity and not having a really, really good movie from in the first place.
I would say that would have shifted. That would have shifted with Mulan.
Mulan, yes, with Eddie Murphy.
You had Lea Salonga, who was like a Broadway star, and previously she was in one of the other Disney movies, as another like a small role or something like that. Maybe was it? No, that was Judi Denson, I think, who did Pocahontas and Little Mermaid. I don't remember, but
right.
Mulan, I think, was the last, because then you, like you said, you bring in Eddie Murphy, you bring in Donny Osmond, you bring in a whole bunch of these high-skilled people who still have some level of ability to sing, but I can't tell you, man, like, I don't remember really any Eddie of Murphy's songs because he can't sing for garbage. He can't.
He can't, I think Shrek did it right with bringing in celebrities and they made roles for celebrities. But granted, Shrek isn't a Disney movie.
Right.
They catered the actual character to the celebrity versus having a celebrity and we're gonna shove you into the character, And I think the very last thing is that it's kind of what we were saying earlier. Man, it's crazy how things come full circle. Is this character relatable? Can I relate to this character?
Mm-hmm.
And it is what it is. These type of movies, these musicals, even though I'm a little bit more sensitive, do the ladies that are watching these musicals, can they relate to the character that they're watching right now? And a lot of
Yep.
times they are, but the last few movies, it's just like, I don't know about that. Like, I'm not saying Frozen was a bad movie, but it was a little hard to relate to her, you know?
I would agree with that. I mean, and even
Elsa
like
was very
Sven,
difficult to relate to.
like Sven, I wasn't attached to that character at all. And I think a lot of the movies
Yeah.
lately have been that way, that there's like a level of detachment. But so then you go back to kind of like what we were talking about, millennials versus, you know, the baby boomer generation and Generation X. You know, we had more of that emotional value in an attachment, where we as a society are becoming more detached. So like
Yeah.
we're there for the
Yeah.
viral moment. We're there for that instant hit. Like we want the snappy, catchy song, but then everything once we're done, like I'm not in that conversation. I'm bought onto whatever's next. Whatever's coming up next, that's what I want. I want that. I want the new. I want the fresh.
Right. It's like The Princess and the Frog. I remember it being a good movie, but I don't remember any of the songs.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
I mean, if you were to like sing a line or something like that, I'd be like, "Oh yeah, that was from that one movie."
right.
But other than that, I think I'd be out.
Right. Exactly. So, but yeah, I'm with you on that. So yeah, that's why I rank. I mean, I played the trumpet when I was in high school, so I'm a music guy. I really enjoy music, and my undergraduate degree is in graphic design, so I love art.
Does that explain the mat?
If those things don't mesh together, I'm just like, you lost me, you know?
Is that the reason for the mat that you have there? The like grid mat is the artistic design.
Yes. Because yes, I do. Man, I wish do I have one here still? Oh wait, here he goes. I did a skateboard. I did a custom design on a skateboard for people. Here you go. This is my skateboard that this is I did for my brother
dang.
right here.
That's
And
nice.
So I do stuff like that. I've been using a lot more vinyl instead of Sharpie. So I have that there. And then there's another content creator. He makes arcade sticks, and then he leaves it empty, but then you can put your own design in it. And so this is the design I came up with, King from Tekken. And you know, of course, we have it on the back here. I drew all this stuff myself.
That's
and then
legit.
The spot of arcade stick is done by Johnny Fraze. So I do stuff like that from time to time on my stream, and yeah, that's why that's there.
Nice. Well, I don't know if we have any more questions out there from, you know, the beautiful community who's been here with us, who's been hanging out with us throughout the day. If you have any questions again for CJ / MDSoul, feel free, throw it up in chat, or you know, if anyone else has any other questions, same thing. Anything at all, completely cool to go.
Absolutely. I'm an open book.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Sometimes I'm a little private with my information, but I'm not afraid of a question to ask. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. I feel like if you're there's certain things that are private, like, you know, how big is your junk? You're like, whoa, stop it. but like anything else is like, no, I'm cool with that. You know. He said, I'll save them for future coffee talks.
See, there you go. You've got someone who's already interested in the coffee talks. They're ready to go.
I'm with that.
What's your favorite piece of
piece?
streaming? Go ahead.
I'm not sure with that one. One you can't live without.
My vote's
at this point. Go ahead.
I was gonna say my vote's on that
really
mug.
think of one.
That mug. You need that much coffee in your day.
Yes, I do. This is definitely a piece of streaming equipment I did, because you know I'm getting up at dark 30 to deal with my kids, and then I'm around 9:30, 10 o'clock. I jump on. I'm like, I'm exhausted. I need a boost of energy. I think that might be one. But that mug sucks to drink. No, it's fine. I don't have a hard time drinking out of this one. I have several different mugs. Most of my mugs are big, but if there's one, I think right now where I'm at, I think my mic. I love this mic that I have. It's an AKG P120, and I think that's very vital with streaming. I can get by without having a camera that has great quality that's streaming at 4K, but if your sound is crap, you're gonna have a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
The people are, they're just not gonna stay. Like, here it is. I'm sorry if I'm overstepping the line. Just be like, screw you, CJ. But as kids, you know, you get static on the special channels, on the porn channels. You can hear it and you're still watching it. But if you are watching it but you can't hear it, you'll be like, man, I ain't watching this. We're weird like that. We're an audible creature. If we hit the audio and the audio's crisp, we're happy. You know, that's why we don't have to watch music videos in the car. We can just listen to the song. You know,
we've talked about that before too. That there's been a couple studies on that. That I mean, if you look at you know, the Blair Witch Project, the video quality on that movie was garbage, like literal terrible garbage. But the audio was flawless, and so we're still pinned and literally just driven to watch the rest of that movie, even though it's like, oh my God, what is this person doing with this camera? They did not record audio on the same device that they recorded that video on. That's just a fact.
Right. Well, you took $50 mic and make it sound expensive. I mean, that's true, but the time invested in it, I don't have the time to invest in a $50 mic. I had a Snowball, and it would cut on and off. It would get staticky. I would get a whole lot of echo. But then when I upgraded to a mixing board and a mic, an XLR, you know, it's life altering. But if you said something besides a mic, I would say my Elgato. And I had an external one, but now that I've upgraded to a PC, my Elgato capture card that's in my PC, it's amazing because I'm able to easily plug into my iPad, any game console that I want to, without delay. That's the big thing. Everybody hates delay. You're like, wow, how come you did that move and now you're talking about it and it's still working? It's like, oh, there's delay. I don't like delay in my gaming, so I will say that. The Stream Deck I can do without. It makes life easy, but I can do without a Stream Deck.
Yep.
I can deal without a camera. I can get a Logic with the Logic 320 and be happy. But I'm working with the Canon M50 and the EOS 500, I think it is. They work great. I like them, but they don't make or break me. I will say my microphone or my Elgato is the thing that's gonna make or break me.
Gotcha.
What bots? You guys are gonna hate me for it. I still use Mix It Up.
No, I think a lot of people do. It's actually a pretty solid bot, even for new Twitch users. I would recommend it because it's ease of use and it's easy to use user functionality. So a person who really doesn't know what they're doing can navigate through menus. It's got a great UI for that. It's just built around understanding. And so I would recommend that. It's for a computer-driven source, not for a web-driven source.
Yeah, and then you can have a bot within the bot. You know, so I have Mix It Up. And then I have Dos Banditos. I don't know if anybody's seen it in my channel. Dos Banditos is a bot, and I made him respond like he's a human. So it works out really, really good. And alongside, you can bring in GIFs and it interacts with OBS very, very well. So I like Mix It Up. I seen you said Firebot. Firebot's pretty solid. That's the bot I use. I love that bot.
I only use Firebot because it can do a couple extra things that Mix It Up can't, like run scripts and things like that. And that's how we run our lights. It's a little bit more involved, and so I have to have like literal custom code for it. Mix It Up can't run it. It literally doesn't function. So that's why I use it. It's one of the only ones in the entire streaming industry that allows you to run scripting.
Yeah, absolutely. What that wasn't good enough, Monkey? All right. Besides all the equipment, I can't live without
the piece of streaming equipment that isn't streaming equipment.
Okay, I'm gonna say my arcade cabinet. I don't know if you guys can see this or what have you. My arcade cabinet, I can't live without. Being a fighting game guy, I like the feeling of being in an actual arcade. So as you kind of see, my room is a little dim here, and it gives me the feeling of actually being in the arcade. And it puts you in a zone, right? And I love it. I mean, there's a lot of things that I do with it besides the arcade and fighting stuff, but I thoroughly enjoy having a arcade cabinet. I mean, yeah, I go to the arcade stick occasionally, but having an arcade cabinet First, it's a definitely a conversation starter. Where'd you get it from? Is it DIY? Whatever.
Yep.
And then, of course, I can customize it. I can open it up. I can change out some things in here. It's really fun. Speaking of that, Hammer, if you have any stickers, I like to put my friends' logos and stuff like that on my arcade cabinet. I would love to have you on here, just for the memories and stuff. I'm trying to build that up. But yeah,
Okay.
I love this arcade cabinet. It's freaking amazing.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I've got that all available. I mean, I can send you a link through DM or whatever.
Cool.
Yeah.
I mean,
Any other
posters in the background?
any other? Yeah. Go ahead. Posters.
Oh, you want to know posters in the background? I rotate my posters around.
That's cool.
I have two posters that are landscape. I have two Mario. Even though I think Mario's a jerk, I am a Mario fan. But I'm just a Nintendo fan. Period. If you see over there, I got over like 100 Switch games over there in my corner there. But I'm a Smash Brothers fan, a Legend of Zelda fan, and I was really digging this freaking Pokemon Stadium competition between Charizard and Blastoise. And over there, I have this really cool Sonic the Hedgehog poster. But yeah, I love posters. And again, it's definitely a conversation starter. I'm pretty sure you can speak to that too, Hammer, because I see in your background you got guitars going, you got Overwatch over there off on the side, you got all sorts of stuff there, and it's an easy icebreaker. I love it.
Yeah, I've been in gaming a long time. I remember some of my first collector's boxes, like my Baldur's Gate one, collector's boxes weren't.
Baldur's Gate, I love it.
They weren't really around back then. When you're talking about like 2001, collector's items were like, this is rare. And so like pulling that up, I mean, I literally have the manual for it, which that's 364 pages in a manual. You get like 3 pages anymore. So like, you can literally like flip through and like look at spells. I would read that at night, with the lamp on and just like go to bed when I was like 14 and be like, all right, I'm going to cast this spell. And then if I run into this guy, I'm going to counter with this. Like it was like a chess match, man.
Yeah.
Like you were literally just immersed into a game, and we just don't get that anymore.
No, you don't. I think that comes from when we were younger, we would get the game, we kind of flip through the pages and say, hurry up. And so now they put the manual in the game through tutorials.
Yep.
Me being an older gamer, do I like that? No. But is it convenient? Yeah.
Yeah,
it is.
It is. And it saves paper and production costs and things like that. I mean, I get why. It helps our earth. It helps people be engrossed into one product and walking through, and makes it like you're seeing the work. It's multiple different categories of learning, because a person who might not be like a reading learner, they have trouble with that. But a person who's actively doing it, a lot more people attached to that. So there's a lot of that I understand. Like, okay, there's a rhyme and reason. It makes sense, and I get it.
But I'm a collector at this point. I think a lot of you said it earlier. At first, people were closet nerds and stuff like that because it was frowned upon. But now we come to a time where it's pop culture.
Yep.
And I'm a collector. I have tons of Final Fantasy books, have Amiibo, I have 6 mini consoles right now. I have the Neo Geo, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx X, the Sega, and the PlayStation Classic. I'm a collector. I want the manual to go along with that. So when I open up all my freaking Switch games, I'm like, where's the book? Why doesn't this come with the book? I'm really, really disappointed. It's like I have the same disappointment when I get fries from McDonald's and there's no fries at the bottom of the bag.
Oh, yeah. You expect it.
It's the same disappointment.
Yeah, you expect it. If it's not there, you're like, what the hell is happening? This should be here. No, I get it.
Where are my fries at the bottom of the bag?
Yeah.
So
where's the overflow?
Where's my instruction manual? So
nice. Well, all right. So MDSoul, CJ, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for your time, your investment, for sharing your community with us, and for being so open. I mean, obviously we've covered a lot today in the world of and the realm of streaming, in the streaming platforms, and our responsibilities as creators, our responsibility as community leaders, people who have a source of inspiration and development towards the people that that stop in, that come in, and they look to us. They look to us and the members of the community at what's possible. And it's great to have strong representatives and figureheads, as it were, to really, carry the banner, carry the torch, and bring us to a new frontier in the future in the world of gaming communities, in content creation communities, streaming communities. And I definitely want to thank you for the time, and of course everyone that came over and who's found us today. Feel free, you can check out MDSoul right here. You can just drop that link. This should pull up. I think it should work. Let's see if it'll. It didn't work.
Sometimes bots work, sometimes they don't.
My bot exploded. All right, I will definitely get that. I don't want to take the bot over on the screen, and the only reason as to why is because it'll literally cover everything over. Oh, I know why. I know why it didn't work. Okay. I know why it didn't work, because when I go into interview mode, you can hear you though.
It's kind of nice. I liked it.
We've got the clip playing in the background. It's there. But so when I go into interview mode, my bot's automatically set up to shut down a lot of the overlay stuff so it doesn't get in the way. And so that's what happened. But yeah, you can find him here. You know what? I'll just type it out.
But hey, thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed the conversation today. There's not too many people that are out there that are willing to have these type of conversations. The pleasure was mine, man. Trust me, it's been an honor. Much respect to you, as I said before earlier this morning on my stream. Hey, you're amazing. You're doing amazing things here. Keep up the great work, and hopefully one day we'll be able to get back to and do this again. I would love to do it again, man.
Absolutely. I can definitely explore that. I've got no problem with bringing people back on, especially, as time develops, issues develop. And so it's really, really great to revisit conversations and say, this is something that we had talked about before. This is what's happening now. Where are the opportunities, and then visit new issues as well. And so I'm really happy that we had the opportunity. It's definitely been an educational experience, and I know a lot of people have gotten something out of it as well. A lot of people are, the brain's churning, and I love that. I love that about these interviews, is that we can kind of get the gears moving. And I think it's that part of that direction, like we've discussed today, that we've got to move, and we've got to get these gears moving and turning in order to progress through time. So I just appreciate, again, you taking the time. Thanks for expending so much of your time in this interview. And of course, we'll end up posting this up on YouTube, so that everyone can go back and look at it. For anyone who wants to, take a peek, if they didn't see it, you got members of the community who couldn't be here, anything like that. I always throw this stuff up on YouTube, so I'll get you a link for that as soon as it's up as well. But again, thank you for being here. If you'd like to, we're going to try and find someone out there to raid and bring all the hype, all the love, all the inspiration to, and close out on the day. Or if you have any suggestions, if you have any,
let's see if I have a suggestion. Let me see if any of the people that I normally, here goes a guy, love him to death, love him like a brother. His name is Josh from work. He's actually really been putting in some work. I'll whisper his channel to you so you can have it, so your bot doesn't beat me up. But Josh at work, he's another one of the guys that was over there at Mixer.
Okay.
He's a Rocket League guy.
Yeah.
Really, really dope dude. He talking about someone that has some tricks up his sleeves about how to build a community.
Okay.
Check him out. He's only been doing it for a couple seconds here. Great dude, promise.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's hit them up. We'll bring the hype over there. We'll close out on the day, and everyone, if you'd like to join us, we'll go hang out and watch. And looking forward to the future, man. I'll definitely be stopping by. I know we got a couple people coming over for coffee time, so I can't wait to visit more often.
Absolutely, man.
Well, again, thank you, everyone who's been here. We're gonna drop a raid, and join us up, and we'll spend time. Feel free, take a peek over at YouTube. You can subscribe to the channel if you'd like to. Don't feel obligated, but we'll have that posted here probably within the next week, just to make sure everything's clean. And we'll see y'all soon. Thank you guys for being a part.